Chapter 1939. Loud explosions sounded out. Every explosion signified the death of an expert. Since they were chosen by the sect to participate in the genius competition, these cultivators would not be weak. The weakest of the disciples in the boundary were at the early stage of the true spirit realm, and most of them were at the late, or peak true spirit realm. There were even a few void god realm experts. With this cultivation, they would be at the peak in the northern sand state, and could not be underestimated in the south flat state. However, in Qin Feng's boundary, they were as weak as ants and their lives were completely in Qin Feng's hands. 5 minutes later, the boundary disappeared and the loud explosions died down. Qin Feng returned to the mountain peak where Cui Qing was standing. There were no more figures of sect disciples in the air, but the surrounding cliffs had been dyed red with blood. "Senior, what happened just now? Where are those sect disciples?" Cui Qing woke up. His memory stopped at Qin Feng's domineering slash, and the black glow swallowing the earth. As for what happened after that, he could not remember, and no matter how hard he thought. "Those people have been killed, you don't need to worry." Qin Feng's voice was calm. He was currently comprehending the insights of that slash. He found that every time he used the boundary, he would gain new insights. Cui Qing revealed a look of disbelief as he looked around. There were no more figures of sect disciples on the mountain peak, but there was a strong smell of blood in the valley, proving that there had been an intense battle nearby. After Qin Feng sorted out his battle insights, he started to think about another problem. When he used the imprisonment slash, the feeling of being watched became even stronger. He was sure that there was someone watching him in the secret realm, but he couldn't find that person's aura. "Fellow cultivator Cui Qing, when you used your cultivation technique, did you feel like you were being watched?" Qin Feng asked. Cui Qing frowned. "Senior, so you also felt that? I thought I was hallucinating." Cui Qing's reply made Qin Feng even more worried. If he wasn't the only one being watched, then this meant that there was a monitoring array in the secret realm. But the strange thing was that Qin Feng couldn't feel any aura from the array, so where did that feeling of being watched come from? He couldn't figure this out. Cui Qing's anxious voice sounded in his ears. "Senior, we can't stay here for long. Let's find a place without people, and if we're lucky, we might be able to survive the secret realm." Cui Qing's thoughts were also the thoughts of most rogue cultivators. This Maze Valley mystic realm was inherently disadvantageous to loose cultivators. Sect disciples usually entered in groups of 3, while loose cultivators basically fought alone. As long as they encountered sect disciples, loose cultivators would basically flee. If it weren't for Qin Feng's strength, he and Cui Qing would have ended up like the other loose cultivators. Not only would their storage rings be snatched away, but they would also be chased out of the secret zone. Before entering the Maze Valley secret realm, Qin Feng had the same thought as Cui Qing. As long as he hid well in this round, he might be able to advance without having to fight. However, a new idea popped up in Qin Feng's mind. He didn't plan on hiding anymore. Instead, he took the initiative to find trouble with the sect's disciples. Qin Feng was aiming for a spot in the top 10 geniuses. Regardless of whether he fought in the Maze Valley or not, he still had to fight for a spot in the top 10 geniuses after he left the secret realm. As for the Mystic Valley mystic territory, only the participating cultivators could see what was going on inside. Those who were guarding the plaza outside could not peep in at all. This was the perfect place for Qin Feng to show off his skills. "Taoist Cui Qing, do you have a way to gather all the sect disciples here?" Qin Feng suddenly asked. Cui Qing was shocked. He looked at Qin Feng with a strange expression. "Senior, what do you want to do? I don't like the sect disciples. I want to gather them here and annihilate them in one fell swoop." Qin Feng did not hide his thoughts. However, this terrifying thought scared Cui Qing silly. He was stunned for more than a minute before he spoke again. "Senior, why your thoughts are too scary. Let's hide first. There are many sect cultivators participating in the Genius Meet every year. Senior can kill 1 or 2 of them. However, if you were to gather all of them, I'm afraid it would be difficult for you to deal with them alone. Although he had witnessed Qin Feng's formidable strength, Cui Qing did not think highly of his plan. Actually, among the previous batch of cultivators, only a 6-star family had appeared. The true top geniuses of the South Flat Continent were all gathered in 7-star sections. If a genius disciple of a 7-star sect appeared later, Cui Qing was afraid that Qin Feng would not be able to defeat him in a one-on-one fight. "Don't worry about me. If you have a way to gather the sect disciples, tell me. Then, leave this place first and find a place with no one around to wait for the mystic territory to close." Qin Feng's tone was resolute. Clearly, he had made up his mind. Although Cui Qing was worried, he did not continue persuading him. He said softly, "Gathering the sect disciples is very simple. As long as Senior shoots something like a signal flare, those sect disciples will naturally come over." Qin Feng was enlightened. He realized that the onlooker had a clear view of the situation. He actually did not think of such a simple method. The previous batch of sect disciples that were eliminated had also used a flying sword to summon Jiang Fei and the others. With a plan, Qin Feng immediately sent out a flying sword signal. This valley mystic territory could only last for an hour. He had to make every second count and eliminate as many contestants as possible within this limited time. Qin Feng was probably the only one who dared to think and do such a thing. If other cultivators knew about this, they would definitely mock him for being arrogant. When he saw Qin Feng really send out a few flying swords, Cui Qing was extremely depressed. However, he did not leave in the end. If not for Qin Feng's appearance, he would have been eliminated long ago. Very soon, several figures flew over. There were even some flying ships that flew past. Seeing more than 10 powerful auras rapidly approaching, Cui Qing could not help but feel nervous. He stole a glance at Qin Feng and realized that Qin Feng was standing at the peak of the mountain with his hands behind his back. He had the transcendent and indifferent demeanor of an expert. Just this state of mind and courage alone made Cui Qing prostrate himself in admiration. Many experts appeared in the South Flat Continent every year, and many shocking things happened. However, Qin Feng was the only one who could fight against the entire continent's sect disciples alone. If he succeeded today, he would definitely be recorded in the history of the South Flat Continent. "What's going on here?" some sect disciples shouted. "It should be the allies of the other sects who discovered the itinerant cultivators and sent out reinforcements. The signals released this time are very concentrated. It seems that a large number of itinerant cultivators have appeared here. They might be hiding here collectively. We're going to be rich now." More and more cultivators rushed over and landed on the surrounding mountains. They revealed excited and playful expressions. Even their tone was filled with uncontrollable excitement. In the eyes of these sect disciples, every time they discovered an itinerant cultivator, one more cultivator would be eliminated. That way, they would have a higher chance of advancing to the top 100 geniuses. However, these people soon discovered that something was amiss. There were no itinerant cultivators in this mountain valley region. Many cultivators did not even see a shadow after a long time. If there were people, it would be 2 men standing on a mountain peak. One of them was at the early stage of the true spirit realm, while the other was at the late stage of the true spirit realm. Such strength was not surprising among the sect geniuses that were filled with experts. "Which sect are the 2 of you from?" a cultivator at the early stage of the Nihility God realm asked. An early stage Nihility God realm cultivator asked. He clearly thought that Qin Feng and Cui Qing were sect disciples. It wasn't just that Nihility God realm cultivator. Almost all the sect disciples who rushed over thought so. Suddenly, a strange voice sounded out. "It's you, kid?" The Nihility God realm cultivator looked at the small old man on the mountain peak and asked. "Dao friend Bing, do you know those 2 people?" The cultivator who made the strange voice was the little elder of the 5-star sect Qilin Mountain, Bing. He had already recognized Qin Feng and had a playful expression on his face. "Ha ha! Brother Wanli, that kid is an itinerant cultivator. He had a conflict with me at the goods exchange at Panshan Market Square. I've been looking for him. I didn't expect him to dare to participate in the Genius Conference. Yi Bing laughed crazily. In his eyes, Qin Feng was already a dead man. However, when the others heard his words, they were shocked and confused. Qin Feng was actually an itinerant cultivator? Then why did he release the flying sword signal to reveal his location? Yi Bing didn't think too much about it. When he saw Qin Feng, he was blinded by excitement. He knew that the top-grade true artifact sword model was with Qin Feng. Moreover, at the Panshan Market Square's goods exchange, Qin Feng had taken out many treasures. Yi Bing was secretly delighted that those treasures were going to belong to him. The cultivator called Wanli was a disciple of the six-star formation sect Wan formation sect. He frowned and said, "Dao friend Yi Bing, are you sure you didn't recognize the wrong person? How could he be an itinerant cultivator?" Wanli asked the question that many people had. Without waiting for Yi Bing to answer, another excited voice came out. "Ha ha! It really is you! Elder Yi Bing is right. That kid is only an itinerant cultivator. 3 days ago, he dared to fight with me for a room at the inn. Today, let me teach him a lesson." The one who spoke was the little elder of the 5-star sect Sky Lake sect, Yunyan. He and Yi Bing were both cultivators who had just turned 50 years old. They met the requirements for the genius competition and represented the hope of their respective sections. Now that Qin Feng's identity as an itinerant cultivator was confirmed, the disciples of the sects were puzzled. After they entered the Maze Valley mystic realm, they chased and killed all the great itinerant cultivators. The other itinerant cultivators turned tail and ran when they saw them. However, the youth in front of them actually took the initiative to release the flying sword signal to gather everyone. Seeing more and more cultivators land on the surrounding mountain peaks, Cui Qing became nervous again. This time, there were at least 100 cultivators, and there were more cultivators arriving one after another. Cui Qing didn't believe that Qin Feng could single-handedly destroy so many experts. He even began to think of the words to persuade Qin Feng. This time, he had to persuade Qin Feng no matter what. Seeing that almost everyone had arrived, Qin Feng said, "The reason why I suddenly gathered everyone here is because I want you to voluntarily withdraw from the competition. Those who voluntarily withdraw can keep their lives. Those who don't will be killed." Chapter 1940. As Qin Feng finished speaking, the spacious mountain valley fell into silence. The scattered sect disciples all had strange expressions as they looked at Qin Feng like he was an idiot. No one knew what Qin Feng was thinking. Or did this person go berserk? Otherwise, how could a normal wandering cultivator dare to say such arrogant words in front of the sect disciples? This was the importance of strength. The sect disciples were shocked because they didn't know how powerful Qin Feng was. If it wasn't Qin Feng standing at the peak of the mountain, but the #1 expert of the South Flat Continent, these sect disciples would have peed their pants in fear when he said the same words. They wouldn't care if he was a rogue cultivator or a sect cultivator. Qin Feng was still very far away from being the #1 expert of the South Flat Continent, but he wasn't afraid of any cultivator under the age of 50. "Ha ha! Where did this idiot come from? I'm dying of laughter. A mere wandering cultivator dares to say such words. Even Senior Wanli of the 10,000 Array sect wouldn't dare to say such arrogant words. Why bother with this ant, just kill him." There were trillions of cultivators in the South Flat Continent, and there was no lack of arrogant people. However, this was the first time they had met someone as arrogant as Qin Feng. Cui Cheng's face darkened. He hadn't even thought of what to say to persuade Qin Feng, but this senior was already courting death. Tens of wild true essence surged out from the surrounding mountains. Even if these people didn't attack, under the suppression of so much true essence, Cui Qing found it hard to breathe. A black figure flew up and charged at Qin Feng. "Everyone don't attack. I want this brat's life." It was Qilin Mountain's elder Yi Bing's voice. He knew that Qin Feng had treasures, so how could he let others take advantage of him? The others didn't attack because to them, Qin Feng was just a mere true Spirit Realm 7 cultivator. Letting Elder Yi Bing, who was at the Nihility God Realm level 3, attack was overkill. Boom! There was a loud explosion and blood splattered in the sky. The sect disciples had playful smiles on their faces. This battle had lasted much shorter than they had imagined. Some people were mocking Qin Feng for being trash. He was a true Spirit Realm 7 cultivator, but he couldn't even take one move from Elder Yi Bing. But very quickly, the smiles on many people's faces froze, revealing incomparably shocked expressions. The loud explosion in the sky had not yet subsided, when a huge Jinyuan handprint blocked everyone's line of sight. Although they could not see what was going on in the billowing Jinyuan, this Jinyuan handprint had appeared in the opposite direction. At this moment, the crowd came to their senses. The explosion had occurred in the sky, and Qin Fen was standing on the peak of the mountain. This Jinyuan palm attack was not launched by Yi Bing, but from the peak of the mountain where Qin Fen was standing. The surging and exploding true essence hand seals gradually dissipated, and the scene in the vast sky became clear. However, the void had long since been empty, and the previous tranquility had been restored. Qin Fen stood with his hands behind his back at the summit of the mountain peak. His expression was indifferent, as if nothing had happened. However, everyone knew that something very serious had happened just now. There was a strong smell of blood in the air. The Qilin Mountain's little Elder Yi Bing was nowhere to be seen. Even his aura could not be sensed. The spacious mountain valley once again fell into silence, just like the atmosphere when Qin Fen said he wanted the sect disciples to voluntarily withdraw. However, in the short span of a minute, everyone's emotions had undergone a complete change. "Where's Elder Yi Bing?" Someone woke up with a start. The various mountain peaks were instantly in an uproar. "Elder Yi Bing was killed! Was it killed by that Realm 7 true spirit itinerant cultivator? Who is this kid? He looks very unfamiliar. He's definitely not a disciple of a famous sect in the South Flat Continent, or a powerful itinerant cultivator. Young hero Qiao, why are you here?" Another few figures rushed over from afar. This time, there were a few familiar faces to Qin Fen. It was Zhao Hongxia and the other two from the 100 Intentions sect. The three of them had not been eliminated. After recognizing Qin Fen, they did not care about what the other cultivators thought and flew to the mountain peak. "Zhao Hongxia, you know that person?" Wanli asked coldly. The people from the 100 Intentions sect had just arrived and did not know what had happened. However, even if they did not see the scene of Qin Fen killing Yi Bing, they could guess from the killing intent of the surrounding sect disciples that Qin Fen had probably gotten himself into big trouble. "Senior brother Wanli, what's going on here?" Zhao Hongxia had no intention of leaving the mountain peak. "Humph! That itinerant cultivator is extremely arrogant. He sent out a signal to gather the sect disciples with a flying sword and said that he was going to kill all the sect disciples. Not long ago, he even killed the Qilin Mountain's little Elder Yi Bing. I advise you to stay away from that kid. Otherwise, you might be accidentally injured by everyone's joint attack." Wan Li's tone was extremely displeased. Although Qin Fen had killed the Qilin Mountain's elder, this person dared to attack him in front of him. It felt like a slap to his face. Not only Wan Li, but all the sect disciples standing on the various mountain peaks were also filled with anger. A mere Realm 7 true spirit itinerant cultivator actually dared to be so arrogant. After knowing the situation, Zhao Hongxia and the other two were shocked. They looked at Qin Fen in disbelief, unable to guess what Qin Fen was thinking. "Brother Hongxia, take the two junior brothers and leave this place." Qin Fen did not want to implicate the 100 Intentions sect disciples. Zhao Hongxia's face was filled with hesitation. He knew that Qin Fen had saved the lives of Zhao Ziyu and Zhao Chongqing, making him a great benefactor of the 100 Intentions sect. However, in this situation, if Zhao Hongxia still stood by Qin Fen's side, it would be equivalent to choosing death. It would not matter if he died, but he was the disciple representative of the 100 Intentions sect. If he died, he would not be able to help the sect gain fame in the genius competition. "Listen to me, take the two junior brothers and leave quickly." Qin Fen did not care about Zhao Hongxia's hesitation. He had only met this person once. The fact that he could not make a decision after thinking for so long was already beyond Qin Fen's expectations. But Zhao Hongxia's face was filled with difficulty. No buts. If you stay here, you will only be a hindrance to me. Qin Fen's tone was unquestionable. Zhao Hongxia was slightly angry. He wanted to stay to save Qin Fen's life, but Qin Fen's actions were extremely arrogant. No wonder the other sect disciples wanted to kill him. The group of sect disciples had grown impatient. If it were not for the fact that Zhao Hongxia was the eldest disciple of the Six-Star sect, the 100 Intentions sect, they would have killed him as well. Zhao Hongxia, I'll give you 10 more seconds to consider. If you stubbornly follow that brat's evil deeds, don't blame us for being impolite. Wanli shouted again. He even hoped that Zhao Hongxia would stay on Qin Fen's mountain. That way, he would have an excuse to kill him. As a Six-Star sect of the South Flat Continent, they seemed to live in harmony on the surface, but behind the scenes, there were often conflicts. 3 black figures flashed by. Zhao Hongxia had already ordered the 2 disciples to leave. The 3 of them did not go far. They landed on an uninhabited mountain peak with complicated expressions. Fellow Taoist Chuiqing, go to the other mountain peak and watch the battle. Don't worry about me, Qin Fen said, turning his head. Chuiqing hesitated for a moment, then flew away. He knew that this battle was unavoidable. After witnessing Qin Fen's ferocious skills, he felt that he would indeed be a burden if he stayed. Without any worries, Qin Fen's eyes were overflowing with battle intent. He looked at the disciples on the surrounding mountains expressionlessly and said in a cold voice, "It seems like you guys are unwilling to leave. Then, don't blame me for starting a massacre." Qin Fen's words made everyone feel dizzy. They did not know where this brat got his confidence from to be so arrogant. It seemed like his brain had really been damaged from cultivating. However, in the next moment, the weather changed drastically. When they saw the thunder clouds above their heads, many cultivators felt uneasy. Before they could do anything, dozens of lightning bolts struck crazily, turning the mountains into ruins. What kind of technique is this? No wonder that brat was so arrogant. He's actually a lightning-type spirit root cultivator. This is not a lightning-type cultivation technique. This is simply the lightning tribulation triggered by a void god realm cultivator. Qin Fen stood on the mountain peak with his sword. His long sword slashed down continuously. Each slash would cause a bolt of purple lightning to explode, followed by the wails of the cultivators standing on the mountain peak. Cultivators with lightning-type spirit roots were extremely rare in the entire divine continent. Once they appeared, they would definitely be fought over by the various top sections. Qin Fen did have a lightning-type spirit root, but he was not just a lightning-type spirit root cultivator. He had a full-type spirit root and could cultivate any type of cultivation technique. The Thunder Heaven Art was a superior grade earth-type cultivation technique that the system rewarded Qin Fen when he created the Shadowless Saber. When this cultivation technique was used by a lightning-type spirit root cultivator like Qin Fen, its power multiplied. Under the sky full of lightning bolts, the sect disciples were in a mess. Apart from dodging the lightning attacks, they had no way of fighting back. When Qin Fen slashed down again, a bolt of purple lightning as thick as an arm exploded above Yunyan's head. Before his death, Yunyan's eyes were filled with horror. He was extremely regretful. Why did he have to provoke such a terrifying cultivator like Qin Fen? He had thought that Qin Fen was just an ant, but he did not expect the ant to kill him instantly. Yunyan was not the only one who was killed instantly. Countless late-stage, and even peak-stage true spirit cultivators were also killed instantly. Those cultivators were genius disciples of the various large sections. They were famous throughout the entire South Pingzhou state, but these so-called geniuses could not withstand a single blow from Qin Fen. Chuiqing, Zhao Hongxia, and the others were stunned. Chuiqing had seen Qin Fen's confinement attack previously. That saber strike was profound and powerful. He had thought that it was Qin Fen's trump card, but now, he realized that Qin Fen's trump cards seemed to be endless. A casual move could make ordinary cultivators' hearts tremble. Zhao Hongxia and the other 2 finally realized where Qin Fen's confidence came from. He was not arrogant at all, but he had the capital to start a massacre. Just the Thunder Heaven Art's lightning-attracting move had wiped out most of the sect disciples on the mountain peak. Most of the surviving cultivators were peak-stage true spirit cultivators, and there were many void god cultivators. Although the lightning bolt surged, Qin Fin's realm was limited and he could not release the true power of the Thunder Heaven Art. A few void god disciples calmed down after the panic and had the chance to retaliate. Chapter 1941. This itinerant cultivator hid his strength. No wonder he dared to be so arrogant. However, I see that he's only at the mid-stage Nihility God realm. As long as everyone attacks together, we can easily kill him. These lightning strikes aren't fatal. Everyone, take out your spirit armors and use your true essence to defend. A mere itinerant cultivator dares to challenge the sects of the South Plateau continent. We can't lose this battle. The panicking cultivators gradually calmed down. Many Nihility God realm experts started to counterattack. Wanli stood on the mountain far away and didn't do anything. However, he wasn't idle either. He constantly formed hand seals and threw array flags in Qin Fin's direction from time to time. In less than 5 minutes, Wanli suddenly roared into the sky. The array flags in his hand were thrown out like a goddess scattering flowers, instantly enveloping Qin Fin. Ha ha! My Class 5 trap array is already in effect. Fellow Taoists, just attack! Wanli laughed proudly. The sky full of lightning suddenly stopped. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Fin was trapped on the mountain top. A sky-reaching wall appeared around him. The lightning swords couldn't penetrate the wall at all. Seeing this, Cui Qing and Zhao Hongxia instantly became nervous. Just as Zhao Hongxia was hesitating about whether or not she should help, she saw a dense mass of black shadows appear in the void. Each of the black shadows was a cultivator from a sect. In the blink of an eye, they surrounded the mountain where Qin Fin was. Ha ha! This kid is only SOSO. He can't even withstand a single blow from Senior Brother Wanli. I heard that Senior Brother Wanli is already a Class 5 Spirit Array Master. Today, I finally witnessed his power. There are very few cultivators in the South Plateau continent who are proficient in arrays. They are even more valuable than alchemists. A Class 4 Spirit Array Master can use arrays to kill people above his level. Even a late-stage Nihility God Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to deal with Senior Wanli's array skills. The sky was filled with mockery. In the eyes of those sect disciples, Qin Fin was already a dead man. They even had the time to mock Qin Fin before attacking. Saber light and sword shadows fell like rain. More than 10 true essence hands appeared above the mountain Qin Fin was on. There were at least 100 disciples participating in this wave of attacks. The weakest was at the early stage true spirit realm. There were also more than 10 Nihility God realm cultivators. Such a majestic formation brought about an earth-shattering attack under the combined attack. Zhao Hongxia didn't even have the intention to make a move when she saw the dense rain of vital energy falling on the mountain peak. Rumble! With a loud bang, the entire mountain peak collapsed. The ruins were covered in dust, and it was impossible to see Qin Feng's fate. But the cultivators from the sects did not chase. Under the combined attack of over 100 people, not to mention Qin Feng who was in the true spirit realm, even a peak Nihility God realm cultivator would find it hard to resist. What's more, Qin Feng was trapped by a level 5 trap array. He could only watch helplessly as his body was destroyed by the quintessential essence. He did not even have a chance to escape. An ant that can't even withstand a single blow. This is the result of offending a disciple of the sect. Every year, there are rogue cultivators who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth who try to resist, but every time, the result is the same. What are these rogue cultivators thinking? What is that white light? Just as everyone was feeling proud of themselves, a few people noticed something strange. They saw a white light flash past them. It was so fast that they thought they were hallucinating. There was a loud explosion in the crowd. When everyone looked over, they were instantly stunned by the scene in front of them. Qin Feng did not die. He stood on a silver flying sword and appeared on top of a mountain several hundred meters away. That mountain was where Wanli was, and the explosion came from Wanli's body. His mountain peak was surrounded by the aura of a formation. He was actually trapped by a level 5 trap array. How is this possible? Wanli's eyes were filled with shock and fear as he watched his body explode. Qin Feng stood on his flying sword and floated above the mountain. His tone was indifferent, as if he was talking to himself. Don't think that you're the only one who knows how to set up formations. With that, his gaze swept over the 100 cultivators floating in the air and he shouted a shocking sentence. All of you attack together. I will kill all of you in an hour. Whoosh. With that, Qin Feng turned into a white light and disappeared. The flying sword under his feet was a true artifact. In just a few breaths, his figure had already appeared in the middle of the crowd. Many people realized that Qin Feng had come because the aura on his body was incomparably strong in the air. However, this reality was difficult for them to accept. Just how arrogant was this fellow to choose to take the initiative to attack when he was surrounded by over 100 sect disciples? Rumble! Before those sect disciples could figure it out, a sea of lightning exploded. Qin Feng waved the Jini sword in his hand and performed the third move of the Thunder Heaven technique, Thousand Lightning Greeting. Although there was a phenomenon of a sea of lightning before, it was formed after Qin Feng repeatedly used the lightning attracting technique. The current Thousand Lightning Greeting was a group attack skill. With one sword, the lightning was like a sea. First sword. Thousand Lightning Greeting. The 5 or 6 true spirit cultivators standing around Qin Feng were instantly enveloped by the purple sea of lightning. When they died, their eyes were filled with shock and fear. They did not even have a chance to escape. Before the sky full of lightning disappeared, Qin Feng slashed at the sky again. Second sword, Thousand Lightning Greeting. Rumble! The mountains a few hundred meters away were instantly bombarded by the sea of lightning. Qin Feng slashed again. Third sword, Thousand Lightning Greeting. After the third sword slashed, Qin Feng retracted his true essence. Although the third move of the Thunder Heaven technique was fierce, it consumed a lot of true essence. In the past, he could only slash once and his body would be drained. Now he forcefully used up the true essence in his body and slashed 3 times. With just 3 slashes, everything within 1,000 meters seemed to have fallen into azure hell. Purple lightning crisscrossed and thunder boomed, flattening the mountain range. In the sea of lightning, no one could survive. The true spirit cultivators exploded like ants. Dozens of spiritual pills wanted to escape, but they were also turned into ashes in the sea of lightning. More than a dozen Nihility God Realm experts ran for their lives. 2 of the middle-stage Nihility God Realm disciples used the escape talisman to escape, while the others were heavily injured in the lightning sea. Before they could run far, Qin Feng's figure appeared behind them. Don't kill me. I'm a disciple of a 6-star sect, Celestial Gourd. Rumble! Before that person could finish, he exploded into pieces and fell down the cliff. With a flash of white light, Qin Feng appeared behind another Void God Realm expert. Young hero, I was wrong. Don't kill me. I'm willing to hand over my storage ring and withdraw from the competition. That Void God Realm expert was so scared that he peed his pants. He no longer had the dignity of a Void God Realm expert. Too late. The sword slashed down and an arm-thick bolt of purple lightning exploded above that person's head. The 3 Void God Realm clones were destroyed along with the original body. Chapter 1942. The Sea of Lightning was still there, and the valley seemed to have fallen into azure hell. Sui Meng, Xiao Shulaqui Qing and the 3 from the 100 Intentions sect were dumbfounded. Qin Feng's strength was unreal to them. Senior Brother Hongxia, who is that Qiao Feng? The 100 Intentions sect disciple's voice was trembling. When I heard that he saved Zhao Ziyu and Zhao Chongqing, I didn't dare to believe it. Now, I finally believe it. The 2 disciples could no longer use words to describe Qin Feng's strength. Even Zhao Hongxia couldn't come back to her senses. A true Spirit Realm 7 cultivator single-handedly defeated over 100 genius disciples from over 30 sects. These sects ranged from 4-star to 5-star, and their disciples ranged from early-stage true Spirit Realm to mid-stage Nihility God Realm. With such a strong lineup, even a peak Nihility God Realm expert wouldn't be able to deal with them. However, Qin Feng managed to beat them all. This guy was simply a monster. Swoosh! Just as Qin Feng was chasing the last Nihility God Realm Level 4 expert, a flying sword flew towards him. It swept up an incomparably ferocious true Spirit Realm aura and blocked Qin Feng's path. That flying sword wasn't just trying to block him, it was aiming for his life. Qin Feng didn't have time to think. The palm that was originally aimed at the Nihility God Realm Level 4 disciple immediately changed direction and formed a giant true spirit palm in front of him. Boom! The long sword collided with the true spirit palm, but it didn't stop. The sword trembled and let out a sharp sword cry, as though it was trying to break through the true spirit palm and pierce Qin Feng's body. However, the true spirit palm didn't dissipate, and a shocking scene appeared in the sky. The long sword collided with the true spirit palm, and explosions rang out continuously. What a strong true spirit aura! Looks like another expert is coming! Zhao Hongxia exclaimed. As a genius disciple of a 6-star sect, he originally thought that reaching Nihility God Realm Level 2 at the age of 40 would make him one of the top geniuses in the entire South Flat continent. However, after witnessing Qin Feng's strength and the sudden appearance of the cultivator, he instantly felt ashamed. Thank you, Senior Su Qian, for saving me. The Nihility God Stage Level 4 cultivator's voice was still trembling. Clearly, he had not recovered from the shock of escaping death. Qin Feng no longer paid attention to that person. Instead, he looked in another direction in the void. A silver light flashed, and its flying speed was no slower than Qin Feng's flying sword. Whoosh! There was another loud whooshing sound. A golden flying sword attacked. This time, Qin Feng took advantage of the momentum and slashed down. A thick true essence aura condensed into a huge sword that was more than 10 meters long. It exploded in the void and knocked the golden flying sword into the abyss of the canyon. After 2 simple exchanges, it only took a few seconds for an unfamiliar figure to appear in midair. It was probably the Su Qian that the Nihility God Stage Level 4 cultivator was thanking. Qin Feng had some understanding of Xinkuan sect. He had obtained a piece of spirit tortoise shell from the Xinkuan weapon workshop in Panshan Market. Later on, one of the great elders of Xinkuan sect issued a city-wide arrest warrant. Qin Feng had no choice but to change his identity to Qiao Feng. The Su Qian in front of him looked like she was in her early 50s. Her thick true essence surged wildly. Qin Feng even suspected that she was over 50 years old. But on second thought, it was impossible. Cultivators over 50 years old couldn't even enter the secret domain. I received a flying sword message saying that there was a rogue cultivator killing people here. Is it you and Aunt? Su Qian didn't understand the situation at all. Just as she finished speaking, she used her spiritual sense to scan the surroundings. Her eyes almost fell out of their sockets. What's going on? Who killed those sect disciples? Su Qian's voice rose by a few decibels. But no one answered her question. Young Hero Qiao, this is Su Qian, the young elder of the 6-star sect Xinkuan sect. She just turned 50 this year and is already at Nihility God Stage Level 6. Zhao Hongxia introduced Su Qian to Qin Feng on purpose. Su Qian immediately pulled a long face and glared at Zhao Hongxia. You little brat from Bai sect. As a disciple of the sect, you actually colluded with a rogue cultivator. You're a disgrace to Bai sect. Zhao Hongxia's status was lower than Su Qian's. Usually, when they met, she would act like a junior. But now, Su Qian directly scolded Bai sect. Humph! Elder Su Qian, I introduced you to you for your own good. Su Qian sneered. For my own good? Don't treat me like an idiot. You just want to warn that guy so he can run away. Hearing the word, run away, Zhao Hongxia wanted to laugh. If she hadn't seen Qin Feng's strength, she wouldn't have cared. But after seeing him single-handedly annihilate hundreds of sect disciples, Qin Fan became a legend in the eyes of Zhao Hongxia and the others. Hee. I think Elder Su Qian has misunderstood. I'm not warning young hero Qiao to run away. I'm trying to help you fight for a chance of survival. Zhao Hongxia also sneered. Su Qian was so angry that she blew her beard and glared at Zhao Hongxia. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Hongxia had the backing of the 100 Intention sect, with her temper, she would have already killed Zhao Hongxia. However, she couldn't keep her anger to herself. Su Qian roared and thrust her sword at Qin Feng. There seems to be a huge battle here. There are hundreds of remnant auras in the valley. They're all true spirit stage cultivators. There's even a dozen nihility god auras. That's Xinkuan sect's elder Su Qian? Why is he here? We all received flying swords from the sect and came here. We heard that a rogue cultivator who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth slaughtered the sect disciples here. Could it be that the true spirit stage 7 rogue cultivator is the rogue cultivator who started the massacre? Looks like this trip is a waste. Elder Su Qian can kill him alone. I heard that Elder Su Qian is one of the top 10 geniuses in this year's genius competition. While Su Qian and Qin Fan were fighting, hundreds of figures rushed over. This time, it wasn't just the sect disciples. There were even some rogue cultivators who dared to come and join in the fun. Some of them came because they received flying swords, but most of them came because they heard the huge battle just now and came to watch a good show. In the end, the crowd was disappointed. How could there be a good show? A true spirit stage 7 ant fighting with the famous elder Su Qian? This was simply asking for trouble. While everyone looked down on Qin Feng, Zhao Hongxia and the other two, as well as Cui Qing, had their eyes lit up. They believed that Qin Feng could defeat Su Qian, but at the same time, they were a little worried. Su Qian was a famous expert in the Nihility God stage. Even some Nihility God late-stage cultivators couldn't defeat him. Rumble! Loud noises came one after another. The battle between the two was extremely intense. After a few exchanges, Qin Fan could already see through Su Qian's cultivation level. This little old man had already stepped into Nihility God stage level 6. Moreover, his cultivation technique was of a high quality. The rich true yuan within his body was many times stronger than a normal Nihility God stage level 6 cultivator. It was even comparable to a Nihility God stage revered cultivator. After a few exchanges, Qin Fan was starting to feel weak. After all, he was still a true spirit stage level 7 cultivator. His true yuan couldn't compare to a Nihility God late stage cultivator. Seeing that Qin Fan had changed from fighting to hiding, Su Qian's eyes were filled with pride. From the beginning, he didn't put Qin Fan in his eyes. Even though Qin Fan had displayed great strength, he still couldn't compare to his true yuan. Therefore, in Su Qian's eyes, Qin Fan was just a dead man. Su Qian even had the time to sneer at Zhao Hongxia in her heart. She really didn't know what was going on in her head. She was actually in cahoots with an ant-like rogue cultivator. She even said that this rogue cultivator was so strong. What a joke. At this moment, Zhao Hongxia's group and Cui Qing were getting anxious. Previously, when Qin Fan was facing hundreds of revered cultivators, he was able to turn the tide. Now, he was being suppressed by Su Qian alone. Su Qian even seemed to be chasing after him relentlessly. Zhao Hongxia had the thought of attacking again, but after seeing Su Qian's powerful true yuan, he immediately dispelled the thought. Don't think that 6-star sects and clans usually treated each other with courtesy. Behind their backs, there were constant conflicts. Zhao Hongxia believed that if he attacked, Su Qian wouldn't even bother dealing with Qin Fan. Instead, he would be the first to be killed. As he cast aside his chaotic thoughts, Zhao Hongxia was stunned by the scene in front of him. Unknowingly, every mountain peak was filled with cultivators. Even the top of each mountain was filled with people. From afar, it looked like a sea of people. With a quick glance, Zhao Hongxia estimated that there were at least a few thousand cultivators here. These cultivators weren't just sect disciples, there were also many rogue cultivators. What's going on here? Who dares to offend Elder Su Qian? Is there something wrong with their brains? As long as it was a disciple from a sect who rushed over, they would have such doubts in their hearts. Su Qian was the little elder of the six-star sect, Xingkun sect. His reputation had spread far and wide. Coincidentally, he was stuck at the age of 50, so he could be considered as a senior expert in his age group. Is that young hero a disciple of the sect? He's clearly only in the seventh true spirit realm, so why is his true essence so dense? Many people were very interested in Qin Feng. However, none of the sects that rushed over knew who Qin Feng was. Soon, everyone realized that Qin Feng was a rogue cultivator. Instantly, the crowd was even more shocked. A rogue cultivator at the level 7 true spirit realm actually dared to fight against Elder Su Qian. Rumble! There was another loud noise. Su Qian used her true yuan advantage to send Qin Feng flying with a slap. While he was still in the air, Qin Feng spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. That violent true essence aura was still hitting his body, as if it had instantly slapped his body up and down hundreds of times, shattering a middle-grade spirit armor on his body. Shouts could be heard from the surrounding mountains. Many people were cheering for Su Qian. Cui Qing, Zhao Hongxia and the other two were shocked. They had just witnessed Qin Feng's strength, and now they saw him being oppressed. This huge contrast was hard to accept. Qin Feng landed on an empty mountain peak. He quickly swallowed a few pills to stabilize his true yuan as anger rose in his heart. Previously, he could single-handedly fight against a group of cultivators because most of them were in the true spirit realm. Qin Feng's current cultivation was enough to instantly kill an early-stage Nihility God realm cultivator. Therefore, although the previous two batches of battles seemed intense, it was actually not a challenge for Qin Feng at all. But this time, Qin Feng felt a lot of pressure when facing the Nihility God realm level 6 Su Qian. This little old man was definitely not an ordinary Nihility God realm level 6 cultivator. His subordinates had probably killed many late-stage Nihility God realm and even peak revered realm experts. Chapter 1943. Qin Feng realized that he couldn't compete with Su Qian in terms of Jinyuan. That would be a completely weak opponent. Although the old man's Jinyuan was strong, his moves were mediocre. It seemed like he had spent most of his time on breaking through. His comprehension of martial skills had not reached the level where he could break through to the next realm. Another true yuan giant hand fell from the sky. Su Qian didn't give Qin Feng any chance to breathe. The violent true yuan landed on the mountain peak, leveling it to the ground with a deafening sound. It was hard to see what was going on in the ruins. Many cultivators speculated that Qin Feng was dead, but then they saw a white light shoot out from the ruins. Its speed caused many to scream. That kid didn't die? Not only did he not die, he even launched a counterattack against Elder Su Qian. Is this rogue cultivator really at true spirit level 7? Why do I feel like even an early Nihility God realm cultivator might not be his match? Qin Feng's strength caused a heated discussion among the crowd. Even if he was in a passive state, to be able to survive for so long under Elder Su Qian's attack was already a difficult feat. Even the thousands of people standing in the surrounding valleys couldn't help but think that if they were in Qin Feng's place, they wouldn't be able to last this long. Some of the words reached Su Qian's ears, making him furious. The fight this time was no longer as simple as killing. Thousands of sect disciples and rogue cultivators had gathered to watch the battle. This battle concerned Su Qian's reputation, and in the long run, it concerned the dignity of Xingkuan sect. A mere ant in the true spirit realm level 7 had yet to be killed. To Su Qian, this was already a slap in the face. He suddenly let out a loud roar and rushed towards the flickering white sword shadow. True Yuan surged from his body and he casually threw out a huge True Yuan palm print. Rumble! The vast sky seemed to explode, and a loud sound rose and fell. The white sword shadow was still shuttling through the air. Su Qian's palm missed. Amidst the screams of the crowd, Qin Feng appeared behind Su Qian. The flying sword under his feet was too fast, like a ray of light. Your strength is not bad. You are qualified to fight me! Qin Feng's cold voice rang out from behind Su Qian. Su Qian almost exploded from anger, but before she could retaliate, a powerful divine sense attack came. Su Qian's hand movements suddenly froze as her expression changed drastically. Her eyes widened so much that they almost fell to the ground as she stared at Qin Feng in disbelief. You can actually launch a divine sense attack? Su Qian heard a tiny explosion in his mind. He immediately sealed off his sea of consciousness, but in that moment, a ferocious true Qi spear flew towards him, colliding with his body and creating a loud explosion. Su Qian fell from midair, coughing out a few mouthfuls of blood before crashing into a mountain peak. The crowd immediately exploded. That rogue cultivator injured Elder Su Qian? How is this possible? Elder Su Qian, what's with the divine sense attack? That guy is only at True Spirit Realm 7, but he can fight against Hollow God Realm Level 6 Elder Su Qian. This is too unbelievable. Everyone was increasingly shocked by Qin Feng's strength. This young and unfamiliar youth was like a dark horse charging out and directly challenging the little elder of a 6-star refining sect. Thankfully, they hadn't seen the previous 2 battles, otherwise their eyes would have popped out of their sockets. Reckless brat, Grandpa won't play with you anymore. Su Qian's voice came from a valley, sounding extremely angry. He was standing on a true weapon flying sword, and no one knew when he had landed on a mountain peak. A long blade appeared in his hand, shining with a silver light. When Qin Feng saw the long blade, he immediately recognized it. This was the stabilizing treasure of the Panshan Market's Xingkun weapon workshop, the green crane blade. What weapon is that in Elder Su Qian's hand? Why do I feel a murderous aura the moment I take it out? I've seen that blade in the Xingkun weapon workshop before. It's a mid-grade true weapon treasure blade, the green crane blade. A true weapon long blade's power is comparable to a hollow god realm cultivator. That rogue cultivator is in danger. Just as everyone was discussing the green crane blade, Su Qian had already swung his blade. A crisp cry of a crane came from the sky, drilling into everyone's ears. The sound was extremely piercing, making everyone uncomfortable. Soon, some cultivators used their true essence to resist the sound of the crane, because this was clearly a type of divine sense attack. Qin Feng also realized the use of the green crane blade. It could actually produce a divine sense attack. If Qin Feng had not advanced his sea of consciousness, the power of the green crane blade might have affected him. But now that his sea of consciousness had been upgraded twice, Qin Feng's divine sense was incomparably strong, and the attack of the green crane blade was negligible. What blade is this? It's actually so powerful! Qin Feng pretended to be serious. Su Qian immediately laughed. Ha! This is the treasure of the Panshan Market's Xingkun weapon workshop, the green crane blade. In order for me to get into the top 3 in the genius meet, the sect specially lent it to me. Su Qian was incomparably proud of the green crane blade. Even in the South Flat Continent, which was rich in cultivation resources, a true weapon was an extremely rare treasure. Moreover, the green crane blade had already reached the level of a mid-grade true weapon, making it even more difficult to obtain. But when Qin Feng asked about the price of the green crane blade, it was 500 million high-grade spirit stones, 100 supreme-grade spirit stones and 10 spirit crystals, plus a bottle of void-breaking pills or a level 6 formation plate. This was an astronomical price for ordinary cultivators. They could not afford it even if they worked hard to collect spirit stones for their entire lives. Su Qian swung the blade again amidst his laughter. He infused the ferocious true essence in his body into the blade, and the long blade produced an even more piercing and intense crane cry. Some true spirit cultivators felt dizzy and were forced to retreat to a safe area thousands of meters away. Not to mention true spirit cultivators, even Nihility God Realm early-stage cultivators were suppressed by the divine sense attack of the green crane blade. Some powerful cultivators pretended to be calm as they stood at the top of the mountain, while others could not withstand it and retreated to a few mountain peaks. Qin Feng was standing at the source of the crane cry, and the sound he heard was the most intense and piercing. It was not just a simple sound, but also a powerful divine sense attack. Qin Feng could not help but think that if it was someone else standing here, even a Nihility God Realm intermediate stage cultivator would be severely injured by the green crane blade. He immediately activated his divine sense, and the boundless sea of divine sense churned violently. Qin Feng stood at the center of the sound, but he did not feel anything. He pretended to be in pain and discomfort. Ha ha! You little ant, let me teach you a lesson today. I'll let you know how powerful the seniors of the South Flat Continent are. Su Qian was extremely pleased. He thought that Qin Feng had been hit, but after the divine sense was damaged, a cultivator's path of cultivation was considered crippled. Su Qian felt that even if he did not continue to attack, Qin Feng would still be a cripple in the future. But how could he let Qin Feng go so easily? Without hesitation, he swung the blade again. Blade chi filled the sky, and the air was filled with the sharp cry of a crane. Along with the churning and collapsing true essence, it shot out. P.S. There were many things to do before the new year, so there will be a new chapter every day for this month. Please forgive me. For those who feel that it is not enough, you can take a look at Old Du's other book, Super Great Immortal Doctor, which was also published vertically. Thank you for your support. For those who want to read, you can search for Blue Book Bar, and you will find this site immediately. Chapter 1944. With this strike, Su Qian unleashed his most powerful qi. He intended to end this fight here. The crowd on the surrounding peaks fell silent. The power of that strike was shocking. It was as if an invisible and untouchable aura surged into their minds, causing their scalps to go numb. Their spiritual consciousness felt like it was being pricked by needles. This is a spiritual consciousness attack. Rumor has it that only hollow spirit state cultivators can form a perfect spiritual consciousness, and only those at the body condensation realm can use it to attack. Elder Su Qian is only at the mid-hollow spirit state but can form such a powerful spiritual consciousness attack. He is indeed a genius senior of the South Plateau state. I don't think this is Elder Su Qian's spiritual consciousness attack but the effect of the green crane saber in his hand. Some people had already seen through the secrets of the green crane saber. When this mid-grade spiritual consciousness long saber was revealed, everyone stared at the green crane saber with envy and greed. No one cared about Qin Fen anymore because they all thought that Qin Fen would definitely die under Elder Su Qian's killing blow. But just as everyone was shocked by the power of the green crane saber, another powerful qi surged. Within the dazzling silver saber radiance was an even clearer and more violent spiritual consciousness attack. Rumble! A loud sound rang out. Everyone saw the sky explode. The aura of true essence tumbled like clouds, like the mushroom cloud produced when a bomb was launched. No one could clearly see what was going on inside the clouds. Not even their divine senses could penetrate it. As for those cultivators who tried to use their spiritual sense to check out the situation, when their spiritual sense touched the periphery of the cloud mist, they were immediately struck back by a powerful spiritual sense, causing them to feel dizzy. What's going on? What a powerful spiritual consciousness attack! Is a body condensation realm cultivator here? Aren't only cultivators under 50 allowed to enter the Maze Valley? And as far as I know, there are no body condensation realm cultivators under 50 in the entire South Plateau state. The crowd was in an uproar. They were completely confused by the mushroom cloud in the sky. Su Qian's screams came from the clouds. Ah, you actually have a spiritual consciousness attack magic treasure too. It's even more powerful than my green crane saber. Who are you? The cultivators gathered at the various peaks were stunned. Qin Fen didn't die? He even attacked Elder Su Qian. As for Su Qian's doubts, it was the same as everyone else's. From everyone's point of view, Qin Feng was just a level 7 true spirit rogue cultivator. This kind of cultivator was basically a pauper who lacked resources. How could he obtain a treasure that was even more powerful than the mid-grade true weapon, the green crane saber? You're thinking too much. I didn't even use any treasures. Qin Fen's cold voice came from the clouds. Everyone was sure that he was still alive. That rogue cultivator is really still alive. He's too powerful. Every year, there are always dark horses appearing in the Genius Assembly. However, these dark horses are usually from 5 or 6-star sections. I'm afraid that there hasn't been a cultivator among rogue cultivators in the last 100 years. A rogue cultivator in the True Spirit Realm 7 managed to injure Elder Su Qian, who is at the Nihility God Realm level 6. Why does this sound so scary? On the Divine Supreme Continent, things that defied common sense were happening all the time. However, what was happening in the Maze Valley secret domain had reached the stage of a fantasy. However, this was the truth. In other words, Cui Qing and Zhao Hongxia from the Bai sect had seen something even more unbelievable. You want to kill me? I'm the little elder of the Xinkuan sect, a 6-star sect. The mushroom cloud lingered in the sky for a long time. After a while, Su Qian's terrified screams could be heard. When they heard that Qin Feng wanted to kill Su Qian, the thousands of cultivators gathered at the top of the mountains were shocked. Even if killing was not prohibited in the Maze Valley secret domain, the disciples of the 6 and 7-star sects were still there. Even if they just stood there and let Qin Feng kill them, how many cultivators would dare to kill them? Isn't he afraid of the Xinkuan sect's revenge? This was the question in everyone's mind. However, they heard Qin Feng's cold voice coming from the clouds. So what if I kill you? You're just the Xinkuan sect. I've never cared about them. Actually, Qin Feng had a feud with the Xinkuan sect a long time ago. Back then, when he was at the Xinkuan weapon workshop in the Panshan market, he found the first piece of the spirit tortoise shell. After that, he was hunted by the Xinkuan sect's great elder Su Wunyan. Later on, he was forced to change his identity from Qin Feng to Qiao Feng. Qin Feng had always been unhappy with the Xinkuan sect. When he was outside, he couldn't do anything to them. But now that the Maze Valley secret domain only had cultivators below the age of 50, it was like heaven for him. When these arrogant words came out, the cultivators on the surrounding mountains were completely shocked. They had seen too many arrogant cultivators, but this was the first time they had seen someone as arrogant as Qin Feng. What a reckless fellow! Let's not talk about whether he can kill Elder Su Qian or not. Even if he really does manage to kill her, his path of cultivation will come to an end. A 6-star sect in the South Flat Continent is already considered a top power, and the Xinkuan Weapon Workshop is a blacksmith sect among the 6-star sections. The sect's power is not inferior to some 7-star sections. This kid is provoking Elder Su Qian here and doesn't care about the entire Xinkuan sect. Just who is he? I think everyone has been fooled by this kid's words. He's not an independent cultivator at all. How can an independent cultivator step into the true spirit realm before the age of 30? Moreover, this guy isn't just an ordinary true spirit realm cultivator. His true essence is incomparably strong, even comparable to the Hollow God Realm Level 6 Elder Su Qian. Don't tell me he's from one of the few 7-star sects. The crowd discussed fervently, and the topic revolved around Qin Feng. Cui Qing, Zhao Hongxia and the other two didn't know what to say. The shock that Qin Feng brought them was getting stronger and stronger. Boom! Just as the crowd's voices reached an incomparably high tide, a loud explosion came from the mushroom cloud. When everyone looked up, they saw a shocking scene. The huge mushroom cloud dispersed along with the explosion. The 6 clones tried to escape, but they were all annihilated in the aftermath of the explosion. Elder Su Qian was killed? He must have been killed. Even his 6 clones are gone. Where did this crazy independent cultivator come from? How dare he cause trouble in the secret realm of the Maze Valley? He must be tired of living. Right after Su Qian died, an angry voice came from afar. Before that person could appear, another 3 powerful auras swept over. That's the genius senior brother Guyu from the 7-star sect Wind God Valley. And the genius eldest disciple of Time Mountain, Xiaoying Jun. Yun Yu's beautiful disciple, Gu He. I know who just spoke. It's the disciple of the 7-star sect Gu Xiaoyao, Lin Rui. Now, the disciples of the only 4 seven-star sects in the South Flat Continent have all gathered. The crowd was in an uproar. The reaction was even more intense than when Qin Feng killed Su Qian. The strongest sects in the South Flat Continent were the 7-star sections. In the vast South Flat Continent, there were only 4 7-star sections. Who would have thought that the disciples of the 4 sects would all come at the same time? Chapter 1945. Gu Xiaoyao's genius disciple, Lin Rui, was the first to land. He stood tall and straight like a sword that was about to be unsheathed. Following that, Xia Yingjun and the other 2 landed on the mountaintop of Lin Rui. When the 4 of them stood together, a strong and violent aura surged out of their bodies. The 4 auras merged into one and seemed to suppress the auras of the thousands of cultivators around them. Such powerful true essence, as expected of genius disciples from 7-star sects. I heard that these 4 are strong contenders for the top 10 of this genius conference. If nothing goes wrong, they will definitely be the top 10 geniuses of the South Plateau State. I really want to join a 7-star sect, but the requirements are too high. There were many discussions. However, many people forgot that when Su Qian from Xinquan's sect appeared not long ago, they also said that Su Qian was a strong contender for the top 10 geniuses. But now, Su Qian's soul had dispersed. That rogue cultivator is dead for sure. The crowd revealed playful expressions. Even though they had witnessed Qin Feng's strength not long ago, it was nothing when the 4 top geniuses of the South Plateau State appeared. When the 4 of them landed on the mountain, Qin Feng scanned them with his divine sense and couldn't help but feel worried. The 4 of them were indeed experts among experts. Gu Xiaoyao's Lin Rui looked similar to Lin Shi and was already at Nihility God Realm level 6. Yun Yu's beautiful female cultivator, Gu He, was also at Nihility God Realm level 6. As for Time Mountain's Xia Yingjun and Wind God Valley's Gu Yu, they were both at Nihility God Realm level 7. Since these 4 were the top geniuses of the South Plateau State, it was obvious that their cultivation wasn't as simple as it seemed. They were all experts who could kill people above their level. You killed Su Qian? Lin Rui's cold gaze landed on Qin Feng. This killing intent was clearly directed at Qin Feng, but the cultivators standing on the surrounding mountains could not help but shiver. Qin Feng didn't dare to start a massacre in the secret realm of the Maze Valley because he was hot-headed. He had already made plans. After he became famous in the genius competition, he definitely couldn't continue using the identity of Qiao Feng, so he didn't have any misgivings. He might as well kill to his heart's content with these self-righteous disciples from large sections. It was a great opportunity to sharpen himself. However, he had underestimated the strength of a 7-star sect's disciple. The 4 people in front of him were all stronger than Su Qian, who he had just killed. Although he did not use his full strength when he killed Su Qian, Qin Feng still felt the pressure when facing Lin Rui and the other 3. I killed him! He had no intention of retreating. Lin Rui was slightly startled. Qin Feng's indifferent reaction was beyond his expectations. Ordinary sect cultivators or rogue cultivators would be filled with fear and trepidation when they saw him. Even some seniors older than him would have to be polite when speaking to him, but the young man in front of him was clearly different. He had even just stepped into the 7 true spirit realm. Is this what they call a newborn calf not afraid of death? Lin Rui thought in his heart. It's good that you dare to admit it. Xinquan sect and I, Gu Xiaoyao, are friends. My personal relationship with Su Qian is also not bad. Today, you killed Su Qian in front of everyone, so I will avenge him and destroy you, an ant. Lin Rui wore a white robe and his long hair fluttered in the wind. He stood on the peak of the mountain with his hands behind his back. His expression was arrogant and righteous. In addition to his words of revenge for his friend, some of the love-struck female cultivators couldn't help themselves. Qin Feng sneered. Your strength is not bad, but you're still far from being able to kill me. That's right, what's your relationship with Lin Shi? Lin Rui was about to attack, but he was stunned by Qin Feng's last sentence. He stared at him coldly and said, You know Lin Shi? That's my younger brother. He has already been framed. Now Gu Xiaoyao is a wanted murderer in the entire continent. Oh! It's your younger brother. No wonder you two look so similar. You don't need to look anymore. Your younger brother was killed by me. Boom! His words were like 10,000 lightning bolts exploding on the ground. The crowd's mind buzzed. Young master, she was also killed by this rogue cultivator? This guy was too ferocious. You little ant, I'll let you know who's boss today. Lin Rui revealed an incomparably furious expression. He didn't waste any more words and took out a treasure and threw it out. It was a banana leaf. When he first threw it, it was only the size of a palm. However, under the stimulation of his true origin, it fanned out a green wall of light. The wall of light grew larger and larger. When it landed on the mountain peak where Qin Feng was standing, it had already dyed half the sky blue. 9-leaf banana, Qin Feng muttered in his heart. This was a type of level 9 spiritual herb. When he met Lin Shi on the 7th floor of the 13 palaces, Lin Shi had also taken out a 9-leaf banana leaf. However, at that time, Qin Feng had used the 100-mile light sniper to bombard Lin Shi with full force. Lin Shi didn't even get to unleash the true power of the banana leaf. Both he and the leaf were blasted into ruins. As a level 9 spiritual herb, the 9-leaf banana was a top-grade ingredient for refining level 9 imperial pills. Moreover, it could be refined into a magic tool. At this moment, the banana leaf in Lin Rui's hand had already been refined. It seemed to have boundless power. All kinds of thoughts flashed through his mind. Qin Feng immediately stepped on his flying sword to dodge. The moment he stood up, the mountain peak under his feet suddenly collapsed. The violent true origin shockwave shook the sky and sent Qin Feng flying. Boom! The loud sound of the mountain peak exploding continued. The crowd was already stunned. Was this the power of a disciple from a 7-star sect? Lin Rui frowned because he could still feel Qin Feng's aura. This meant that Qin Feng wasn't dead. He didn't hold back in his attack just now. Moreover, he had taken out the 9-leaf banana leaf. Yet he couldn't even kill a level 7 true spirit ant? As expected, you have some tricks up your sleeve. No wonder you could kill Su Qian. However, in front of me, you are still an ant. Lin Rui's cold voice resounded throughout the valley. His figure turned into a green light and disappeared. Some cultivators with sharp eyes saw some clues. It turned out that the banana leaf wasn't just an offensive magic tool. It could also be used as a flying magic tool. The speed of the banana leaf was extremely fast. It even surpassed the speed of a low-grade true artifact flying sword. Qin Feng had just stabilized his body when a huge true origin palm appeared above his head. He didn't have much time to think. He took out the dragon shock spear and stabbed it into the void. Boom! The sound of the collision was deafening. A small black hole even appeared in the sky. The people here were all cultivators under the age of 50. Very few of them had seen such an intense battle. They were thinking that even some body condensation realm early-stage cultivators wouldn't be able to fight like this. Senior Lin Rui is really powerful. Although he's only at Hollow Spirit Realm level 6, I feel that he can kill a Hollow Spirit Realm late-stage expert. That rogue cultivator is the truly powerful one. He's only in the 7th True Spirit Realm, but he continuously challenged the genius disciples of the 6-star and 7-star sects of the South Flat Continent. If he can last through the Maze Valley, he'll probably become famous overnight. Heh! Stop daydreaming. The head disciples of the 4 7-star sects are already here. How could they let that rogue cultivator leave alive? Chapter 1946. Lin Rui ignored the discussions of the surrounding cultivators. He stood on the 9-leaf banana leaf and hovered in the air. He looked at Qin Fen with a serious expression and a different light in his eyes. Qin Fen's strength was beyond his expectations. Since Qin Fen could kill Su Qian of Xinquan's sect, Lin Rui did not underestimate him. However, when Qin Fen's strong true essence condensed into a solid spear and broke through his true essence hand seal, Lin Rui realized that he had underestimated this young rogue cultivator. Qin Fen looked even younger than him, but he was so powerful. Most importantly, as a rogue cultivator, he could not compare to the rich cultivation resources and cultivation system of a 7-star sect. How did this guy get to where he was today? Various thoughts flashed through Lin Rui's mind, but he could not understand a single one of them. As one of the top young cultivators in the South Flat Continent, he had always looked down on his peers with a proud attitude. However, standing in front of Qin Fen, Lin Rui actually felt inferior. "I can't let you continue to grow," Lin Rui said in his heart. After the exchange, Qin Fen had a rough idea of Lin Rui's strength. Although Lin Rui was an empty God Realm 6 cultivator, his true essence was comparable to a late empty God Realm cultivator. If Qin Fen was still at his peak, he was confident that he could fight head-on with Lin Rui's true essence. However, after the previous 3 battles, his true essence was severely depleted. Even though he kept eating vitality consolidating pills to recover his true essence, he was still unable to do so. This battle was not fair, but the Divine Supreme Continent was not a place that cared about fairness. Many rogue cultivators began to sympathize with Qin Fen. It was a pity that a young and talented hero was about to die. Rumble! A loud sound broke the silence of the valley. Lin Rui had just stabilized his true essence, and immediately launched a new attack. He grabbed the 9-leaf banana leaf petal under his feet and waved it in a seemingly light manner. However, it created a vortex of true essence in the void and flew toward Qin Fen at an extremely fast speed. Wherever the true essence whirlpool went, there were explosions. The violent true qi that shot out made it hard for people to breathe, forcing many cultivators to retreat to further mountains to watch the battle. Such a light and fierce attack ignited the restless emotions of the crowd. Screams and shouts surged forth like a surging tide. Basically, they were all discussing whether Qin Feng could block this attack. Qin Feng had no time to pay attention to those people's discussions. He immediately realized that the 9-leaf banana petal in Lin Rui's hand had been forged into a strengthening magic tool. This kind of magic tool's effect was similar to the heaven bell he had obtained. When an attack passed through the magic tool, it would be strengthened. At the same time, Qin Feng also realized that the strengthening effect of the 9-leaf banana was even stronger than that of the sky bell. As expected of a magic tool made from rank 9 spirit herbs, its power was shocking. When the violent vortex of true essence rushed to the space a dozen meters away, Qin Fen didn't dare to delay any longer. He immediately took out the heaven bell and stood in front of him. He raised a mouthful of true essence and shot it out. A massive true essence handprint appeared in the sky, blocking the crazily surging true essence vortex in midair. Whether it was the true essence handprint or the true essence vortex, both carried with them an incomparably powerful aura as they collided. There was a turbulent explosion, and a black hole appeared in the void. This time, the range of the black hole was even wider than the previous collision, causing the crowd to scream again and again. The true essence handprint lasted for half a minute before it began to dissipate. However, the true essence vortex still carried with it a powerful attack. The moment it hit Qin Fen, his body was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. The heaven bell also flew into the valley. Lin Rui greedily glanced at the valley, but he immediately regained his focus and waved the 9-leaf banana petal in his hand into the air again. A mere itinerant cultivator dares to provoke the dignity of a sect. This is your fate. The violent true essence vortex appeared in the void again, and it was even more intense than the last time. In everyone's eyes, Qin Fen was already a dead man. The sect disciples all held their heads high, as if they felt superior because they were disciples of the sect. The itinerant cultivators were dejected. They had suppressed the anger in their hearts, but they had nowhere to vent it. Just as the new true essence vortex was about to envelop Qin Fen, a black light shot out from the vortex. When the light met the black light, it was devoured. In just a few seconds, the sky above Lin Rui was already shrouded in darkness. The domain formed this time wasn't large because Qin Fen's spiritual sense was already exhausted. Moreover, there were too many cultivators in the surrounding mountains. If Qin Fen enveloped the entire domain, he wouldn't be able to control thousands of cultivators at the same time. In the domain, there were only Qin Fen and Lin Rui, and the violent True Essence Vortex. However, the rapidly flying True Essence Vortex had already stopped, but one could still see the vortex formed by True Qi spinning on the spot. However, the spinning speed was getting slower and slower until it finally stopped completely. What's that? The cultivators on the mountain peak were in an uproar. Their eyes were filled with shock. Even Gu Yu and the other two were astonished. They had already recognized that the black area was the manifestation of the initial success of the domain. This time, thousands of genius cultivators from the South Plateau state had witnessed Qin Fen's domain. However, when this reality was displayed in front of them, they found it hard to accept. It was said that the domain could only appear at the initial stage of the hollow spirit state. Only when one reached the body condensation state would they be able to use the domain. However, Qin Fen was clearly only at true spirit realm 7. How did he use the domain? No one could figure out the reason. Qin Fen couldn't be bothered with the discussions of the crowd. At this moment, he stood in front of Lin Rui on his flying sword. His body was filled with killing intent. How did you do it? Lin Rui's body was tied up, but he could still open his eyes and speak. Qin Fen realized that his domain wasn't strong enough. If he reached the greater success of the domain, he should be able to completely trap a hollow spirit state expert. By then, the other party wouldn't even have a trace of awareness before being killed. I did it very easily. Qin Fen's casual words almost made Lin Rui vomit blood. This was the legendary domain. Many hollow spirit state cultivators couldn't comprehend it. Even body condensation state mighty figures couldn't use it. However, it was a trivial matter in Qin Fen's words. Qin Fen added another stab. Don't you know how? Lin Rui wanted to slap Qin Fen to death. However, he couldn't even move, let alone use the true essence in his body to attack. In the next second, Lin Rui broke out in a cold sweat. He finally woke up from his arrogance. Now, he was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered by the wandering cultivators. What do you want to do? Lin Rui's voice trembled slightly. No matter how strong an expert was, they couldn't remain calm in the face of death. You know very well. As Qin Fen spoke, he raised the imprisonment blade above his head. Seeing the domineering blade slowly descend, Lin Rui's heart burned with anxiety. The feeling of waiting for death was so painful that he wanted to die. In the past, he was the one who watched others die. Don't kill me. I'm a disciple of the 7-star sect Gu Xiaoyao. How can you kill me? Lin Rui still didn't see the truth. Qin Feng's long saber slashed down, and a loud explosion rang out. His indifferent voice could be heard. When your younger brother, Lin Shi, died, he said the same thing. There was a loud explosion in that black zone. Did something happen to Senior Lin Rui? Everyone thinks that the zone was formed by the wandering cultivators. Is there no one who thinks the same as me and thinks that the zone was formed by Senior Lin Rui? Look! The zone disappeared. The wandering cultivator is still there, but Senior Lin Rui is gone. A wave of heated discussion was set off at the top of the mountains. When Qin Fen's figure appeared again, the entire valley was boiling. Gu Yu of the Divine Wind Valley couldn't stay calm anymore. He shouted at Qin Fen, who was hovering in the air on his sword. You killed Lin Rui? Qin Fen looked at him and said word by word. That's right. Lin Rui is dead. I killed him. Whoosh. The scene exploded. Thousands of cultivators' jaws dropped to the ground. Senior Lin Rui was dead? He was a strong contender for the top 10 geniuses. How could he die? When they looked at Qin Fen again, there was a huge change in everyone's gaze. Whether it was the wandering cultivators or the sect disciples, they all had some fear and nervousness. Xia Yingjun and the other two had an incredulous look on their faces. When they used their divine senses to scan the area, they couldn't find a trace of Lin Rui's aura. It seemed that Lin Rui was either dead or had escaped using an escape talisman. He really killed Lin Rui. The beautiful genius of Yunwei, Gu He, opened her mouth and looked at the sky with a complicated expression. Gu Yu of the Divine Wind Valley nodded and said, "He formed a zone. In the zone, he was the master. Lin Rui had nowhere to escape. It seems that he really died. A wandering cultivator dared to kill the sect disciples here. What do you two think?" Xia Yingjun looked at Gu Yu and Gu He with killing intent in his eyes. Gu He didn't express her opinion. She stood on the mountain peak like a goddess. Gu Yu thought for a moment and said, "This kid can't be left alive. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles in the future. If we don't kill him now, we will still face him after the Maze Valley's secret realm ends. At that time, we can only fight one-on-one." Gu Yu's meaning was very clear. His words even showed that he was afraid of Qin Fen. Xia Yingjun already had this intention. Now that the three of them were working together to kill Qin Fen, there would be a fair one-on-one competition after the Maze Valley secret realm ended. At that time, if they met Qin Fen again, even if they could kill him, they would probably end up with serious injuries. After the two of them reached an agreement, their gazes landed on Gu He. Gu He looked at the sky and said in a clear voice, "I have no opinion." In front of the ranking of the Genius Conference, the three of them had the same opinion. Three figures appeared in the sky and trapped Qin Fen in a triangular formation. "I'll give you a chance to say your name before you die. Even if you die today, your name will spread in the South Pingzhou state for a period of time," Gu Yu said with a proud expression. Xia Yingjun's eyes were cold. He grabbed his weapon and said, "You even dared to kill Gu Xiaoyao's eldest disciple. Even if the three of us don't kill you today, Gu Xiaoyao's elders will kill you when we get out. No need to say any more. Just do it." Gu He's heart was the complete opposite of her handsome appearance. She was decisive and ruthless. Chapter 1947. When Xia Yingjun's group of three appeared in the air, the surrounding cultivators went into an uproar again. "Are the seniors from the three seven-star sects going to team up? 7-star sects teaming up to attack? This has never happened in the past 100 years. It's unbelievable that a rank 7 true spirit independent cultivator has formed such a situation. I always suspected that the independent cultivator was a disciple of a 7-star sect. It seems like he's really just an independent cultivator." There were many experts in the South Pagoda State, but most of the famous experts were from 7-star sections. The foundations and strength of 7-star sects were beyond the imagination of ordinary sects and itinerant cultivators. Otherwise, the massive South Pagoda State wouldn't have only formed 4 7-star sects after tens of thousands of years. Usually, as long as the name of a 7-star sect was mentioned, everyone would avoid them. But now, a nameless nobody had appeared and challenged the dignity of these 4 7-star sects. Qin Feng did not mean to challenge them. He did this to find Qin Duo as soon as possible. When Xia Yingjun and the other two surrounded him in the sky, a strong premonition of death rose from the bottom of his heart. The battle just now had already consumed more than half of his true essence. Now, it would be difficult for him to fight one of them alone, let alone facing 3 of them at the same time. However, there was no way out now. Qin Feng had to face this disaster. He knew that now was not the time to fight. If he wanted to defeat the 3 of them, he had to find a good opportunity. When he thought of the opportunity, Qin Feng's eyes flashed. Before Xia Yingjun's group attacked, he suddenly flew towards Gu He, who was at rank 6 Nihility God realm. This action caused the crowd to exclaim. Some people had guessed that Qin Fen would surrender without putting up a fight, or take out the treasures on his body in exchange for a chance of survival, or even destroy his own dantian and withdraw from the competition. But no one had expected that he would take the initiative to attack the genius disciple of Yin Yu. Not only did he attack, his attack was extremely fierce. A spear light condensed from true essence floated in the air and instantly rushed to Gu He. Gu He was stunned at first. She didn't expect Qin Feng would dare to attack her, but the moment she regained her composure, she immediately dodged. Although she was confident that she could block the spear light, Gu He didn't need to do so. Now that it was 3 against 1, Gu He and the other 2 had their own plans. None of them wanted to take the initiative to fight Qin Feng head-on. After all, this guy had just killed Gu Shiyao's Lin Rui not long ago. It was evident that his strength couldn't be underestimated. Gu He dodged the attack, while Xia Yingjun and Gu Yu stood blankly in the sky. The two of them were full of doubts and couldn't figure out what Qin Feng was trying to do. Qin Feng's attack missed, but he didn't chase after Gu He. His actions once again confused the crowd. With his ferocious attack, he shouldn't have retreated after one attack. Not good! That brat wants to escape! Xia Yingjun suddenly cried out and took the lead to chase after Qin Feng. Gu He and Gu Yu woke up with a start. They immediately determined that Qin Feng wanted to escape, and that the previous shot was just a pretense to prepare for his escape. Just as the three of them were about to catch up to Qin Feng, they discovered that he had landed on top of a mountain and had stopped. His hands were waving about, but it wasn't an offensive move. Instead, he seemed to be forming a formation with his hands, as though he was setting up a formation. What does this brat want to do? Gu Yu slowed down as she tightly knit her brows. Gu He stopped 100 meters away from the mountain. She could attack at any time from this distance, and she could escape at any time. Xia Yingjun didn't stop as he charged to the top of the mountain. He sent out a palm in the air. Who cares what he's doing? With the three of us working together, how could we be afraid of him? These words made Gu He and Gu Yu wake up. The two of them felt that they had been too careful. The other side was just a seventh true spirit realm rogue cultivator. Even if he killed Gu Shiyao's Lin Rui not long ago, the three of them could see that this was the other side's limit. When Gu He and Gu Yu flew to the top of the mountain, Xia Yingjun's true spirit palm had already landed. However, a barrier of light appeared on the top of the mountain, bouncing the true spirit palm print away. A large explosion came from the mountain to the side. The mountain instantly collapsed, and the true spirit cultivator standing on the mountain fell off the cliff. It was unknown if they were dead or alive. What is that? The crowd was stunned. Someone cried out in shock. It seems like a defensive array. Not only is that a defensive array, it's also a 6th-level defensive array. A 6th-level defensive array? Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. It had to be known that the strongest array master in the South Flat Continent was only a 6th-level array master. The reason why everyone was so shocked was not because of the appearance of the 6th-level defensive array. They had personally seen Qin Feng set up the array at the top of the mountain, and thought that Qin Feng had set up the array himself. With Qin Feng's age, he had already stepped into the level of a 6th-level array master. It was truly shocking and incomprehensible. The 6th-level defensive array at the top of the mountain was naturally not set up by Qin Feng. Even if he could set up a 6th-level array, it would be impossible for him to complete one in such a short period of time. Those were the 3 6th-level defensive array discs that great immortal Qi Jiao had given him. One of them was used to set up the Ouyang residence, and the other was used to deal with the enemies in the Purple Cloud Valley's secret realm. Now, the last 6th-level defensive array disc was set up by him on the mountain peak. Seeing the 6th-level defensive array appear, even Xia Yingjun's group of 3 were shocked. It had only taken them half a minute to chase after Qin Feng and attack him, but Qin Feng had set up a 6th-level defensive array in that half a minute? Fortunately, the 3 of them were not proficient in array formations. Otherwise, they would have realized that the 6th-level defensive array had not been completed, and had only been initially perfected. If the 3 of them attacked at the same time, they would be able to break the array instantly. However, while they were in a daze, Qin Feng kept throwing array flags to perfect the defensive array. When the 3 of them calmed down, the 6th-level defensive array disc was completely completed. Qin Feng heaved a long sigh of relief. With this 6th-level defensive array, he believed that even if Xia Yingjun's group attacked at the same time, it would take them at least an hour to break the array. After the previous 3 huge battles, he had gained some new insights. In addition, the quintessential essence in his body was faintly expanding. This was a sign of a breakthrough. Qin Feng planned to break through in the 6th-level defensive array. When this idea popped up in his mind, even he was shocked. However, After calming down and thinking about it seriously, this was the only way to survive. What a sinister kid. The 6th level defensive array was not set up by him. He only perfected the array disc. Xia Yingjun had already seen through the facts. After hearing this, the cultivators on the surrounding mountains heaved a sigh of relief. If Qin Fin could really set up a 6th level defensive array in an instant, it would really overturn everyone's understanding of the past few decades. He should be trying to stall for time and wait for the Maze Valley mystic realm to end. Gu He's expression turned cold. She still remembered Qin Fin's spear attack. Even if the three of us join forces, we won't be able to break through the 6th level defensive array in a short period of time. Gu Yu seemed to be talking to herself. Xia Yingjun revealed a sinister expression. He originally had the mentality of killing Qin Fin. Unexpectedly, he was helpless before he even made a move. If there was no one watching, Xia Yingjun would have left immediately. However, in front of thousands of genius cultivators of the South Plateau State, he could not afford to lose face. Humph! Do you think a mere 6th level defensive array can save your life? What a joke! As Xia Yingjun spoke, he took out a long saber. The long saber glowed with silver light and emitted dense spiritual energy. It was even denser than the green crane saber that Su Qian used previously. Disciples of the Time Mountain, come over! Xia Yingjun shouted. 2 black figures flew over in the air. Both of them were in the early stage of the Nihility God realm and were considered experts in the crowd. When Xia Yingjun showed his attitude, Gu Yu and Gu He each called for 2 disciples from their sections. Xia Yingjun was still not satisfied with the gathering of 6 people, and all of them were in the Nihility God realm. He looked around coldly and said, "Today, that shameless rogue cultivator killed my good friend Lin Rui and many of my sect's disciples. I, Xia Yingjun, swear to kill him. Now, I need Nihility God realm disciples to help. I wonder if anyone is willing to do so." Just as he finished speaking, tens of black figures flew over. All of them were in the Nihility God realm. These people were basically from 5 or 6 star sects. They first bowed to Xia Yingjun and the other 2, then stood behind them and waited for their orders. Qin Feng found the bottle of void-breaking pills that Taoist Barefoot gave him. This was the best pill for peak true spirit realm cultivators to break through to the Nihility God realm. There were originally 4 pills in the bottle. He gave one to Purple Cloud City's city lord Ouyang Jun, to help him break through to the Nihility God realm. When he thought of Ouyang Jun, Qin Feng immediately thought of the incomparable battle in the North Sand Continent. His heart burned with fury and he wanted to kill his way back to the North Sand Continent to take revenge. However, this was not the time to be immersed in hatred. When he saw tens of Nihility God realm masters gathered in the sky above the mountain, he instantly became nervous. Even a 6th level defensive array would not be able to withstand the attacks of so many Nihility God realm masters. Without much time to think, Qin Feng swallowed the 2 void-breaking pills. He had to make use of every second to break through. If he didn't break through by the time these people broke through the defensive array, he planned to enter the astral world. Originally, this was a pill that peak true spirit realm cultivators used to break through. However, Qin Feng had eaten pills that surpassed his cultivation level a long time ago. When the 2 void-breaking pills entered his mouth, 2 ferocious waves of spiritual energy surged forth. It was as though his body was going to explode. Just the pills alone were not enough. Qin Feng immediately took out 10 spirit crystals and placed them around him. When the spirit crystals appeared, a spiritual energy whirlpool formed on the mountain. The surrounding spiritual energy surged over and the weather in the valley changed. "You actually have spirit crystals?" Xia Yingjun saw that the number of cultivators gathered was about right. Just as he was about to give the order to attack the array, he was stunned by the spiritual energy whirlpool on the mountain top. Not only him, but the Nihility God realm masters were also shocked. Spirit crystals were extremely rare in the South Flat Continent. Not to mention spirit crystals, even supreme-grade spirit stones were rare. However, Qin Feng had taken out 10 spirit crystals at once. He was actually using them for cultivation. Chapter 1948. Before everyone could recover from the shock of the spirit crystals, they realized something even more shocking. That rogue cultivator was breaking through in the defensive array? Is he crazy? He's still in the mood to break through at this time? He's definitely the most arrogant rogue cultivator I've ever seen. He doesn't put a 7-star sect in his eyes at all. This isn't arrogance, this is a hole in his brain. Let's see how long he can keep acting for? Once the defensive array breaks, it'll be his death. There were all sorts of discussions. Some people were impressed by Qin Feng's calm demeanor, while others thought he was just acting. No matter what, Qin Feng didn't care at all. Right now, the most important thing for him was to break through. Otherwise, he would have to hide in the Star World. Qin Feng couldn't help but think of the system's emergency notification when the elder from Tian Tong's city had appeared. That elder most likely had a system, and the system's level was even higher than Qin Feng's. If he ended up hiding in the astral world, the hedonist sovereign system would most likely be completely exposed to the elder. As expected, a rogue cultivator who doesn't know his place. He's still playing tricks before his death. Everyone, follow me to break the array. Qin Feng's actions completely infuriated Xia Yingjun. He actually broke through in front of Xia Yingjun. This was a complete slap to his face. Seeing the tens of Nihility God Realm cultivators about to join forces to attack the array, Qin Feng panicked. However, at this moment, tens of black figures flew over and landed on a mountain peak not far away. Xia Yingjun, as a genius disciple of a 7-star sect, you're actually joining forces to bully a junior. This is really damaging to your reputation. A man in his 40s walked out from the crowd. His true yuan was dense and ferocious. He had actually stepped into Nihility God Realm level 6. Seeing this person, Xia Yingjun frowned and ferocious true yuan surged from his body. He yelled, "Bai Qiming, I advise you to mind your own business. Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because you're a rogue cultivator genius. How can you rogue cultivators be mentioned in the same breath as us sect disciples? The geniuses among you are not even worth mentioning in front of the South Plateau State's genius disciples." When Bai Qiming's identity was revealed, the various mountain peaks were in an uproar. Although the number of rogue cultivators in this year's Genius Assembly was less than the number of sect disciples, it was only in comparison to the number of sect disciples. In reality, there were more than 2,000 rogue cultivators participating in the Genius Assembly, and at least 700 to 800 rogue cultivators had come to watch. As long as one was an itinerant cultivator of the South Flat Continent, everyone would know of Bai Qiming. He was known as the #1 itinerant cultivator of the younger generation in the South Flat Continent. Back then, he was only 35 years old, and had already stepped into the Nihility God Realm. Now that he was in his early 40s, he was already at Nihility God Realm level 6. There were more than 20 people standing behind Bai Qiming, and all of them were empty God Realm cultivators. This formation was evenly matched with the team led by Xia Yingjun. At that moment, neither of them dared to act rashly, and the battle was in a stalemate. Qin Feng looked at Bai Qiming gratefully. No matter what this person's motive was, he had helped him gain more time to break through. Xia Yingjun's face was so cold that it was about to freeze when he saw more and more spiritual energy whirlpools gather on Qin Feng's mountain. Bai Qiming, are you trying to rebel with the rogue cultivators in the Maze Valley Mystic Realm? I understand now. That kid is your friend, right? Everything he did before was because of your orders. Xia Yingjun's words stirred up the hatred of the sect disciples. Killing intent surged from the sect disciples standing on the various mountains as they glared at the rogue cultivators around them. As sect disciples of the South Flat Continent, these people naturally felt that they were superior to others, and they looked down on rogue cultivators. Who would have thought that this bunch of lowly people would dare to rebel at the Genius Assembly? They must be tired of living. Bai Qiming didn't care about such petty tricks at all, and he couldn't even be bothered to explain. Xia Yingjun, you don't need to sow discord. Today, I'm going to protect that young hero. If you're unhappy, we'll fight. Bai Qiming gave Xia Yingjun a headache. This guy was famous for his stubbornness in the South Flat Continent, and once he set his mind on something, no one could change it. The most infuriating thing was that this guy was so strong that even Xia Yingjun didn't have the confidence to defeat him. Disciples from the various great sects, what are you spacing out for? Lu's cultivators want to ride on our heads and piss on our disciples. Are you just going to stand by and watch? Xia Yingjun began roping in even more forces. This was originally just a conflict between Qin Feng and the 4 genius disciples of the 7-star sects, but now it had turned into a conflict between rogue cultivators and the sections. Instantly, over 100 figures flew to the group behind Xia Yingjun. There was a black mass of people floating in the air, and the lowest cultivation was at the late stage of the true spirit realm. Bai Qiming didn't even need to say anything, and there were already many rogue cultivators rushing to the mountain to help. As the South Flat Continent's rogue cultivators, they were usually bullied by their sections. Now that someone was leading the rebellion, the suppressed anger in their hearts burned. The number of people on both sides continued to increase. Seeing that the number of venerables on each side had exceeded 100 people, 2 powerful auras surged up from the void and the mountain. Just these 2 powerful auras caused the hearts of the crowd to surge. Bai, are you for real? Xia Yingjun's face turned black from anger. Why didn't he notice that the South Flat Continent's rogue cultivators had such backbone? Bai Qiming didn't back down. He stood in front of the rogue cultivator experts, and his eyes were cold. I'll say it again, I'll protect that young hero today. If you want to fight, then hurry up. I, Bai Qiming, have never been afraid of anyone. Arrogant and ignorant, as expected of a rogue cultivator. No wonder no sect is willing to accept you despite your talent. With your arrogant personality, you'll die in the wilderness sooner or later. Xia Yingjun kept scolding, but he didn't attack. The formation of this battle had exceeded his expectations. He thought that after the sect disciples gathered, just their aura alone would be able to scare off the motley crew. Unexpectedly, they didn't retreat at all, and he could see the desire to fight in their eyes. I don't want to join a sect because I don't want to. What has it got to do with you? Don't always think that sect disciples are better than others. In my eyes, you guys are just SOSO. If I want to, I can kill any sect disciple here if I want to. Bai Qiming's words were extremely arrogant, comparable to Qin Feng's. However, none of the sect disciples dared to refute him. Who asked him to be at Nihility's spirit realm level 6? If Bai Qiming really exploded, he might even kill Xia Yingjun, much less them. What do the 2 of you think? Xia Yingjun couldn't make up his mind. He wasn't really afraid of Bai Qiming. Although there wasn't much difference in the number of Nihility spirit realm cultivators on both sides, Xia Yingjun still had Gu Yu and Gu He in the advanced stage of Nihility spirit realm. If they really fought, Bai Qiming's side would definitely lose. However, this battle involved too many sections. Moreover, the participants were all genius disciples of the various sections. If there were any casualties, Xia Yingjun wouldn't be able to answer to the other sections. Gu Yu and Gu He's expressions were equally solemn. Obviously, they were also worried about casualties. However, if they backed off now, wouldn't they be lowering their heads to the Nihility spirit realm cultivators? This definitely couldn't happen in South Pingzhou. Since those Nihility spirit realm cultivators are courting death, we'll just destroy them. Gu He's tone was cold, and her heart was vicious. Gu Yu frowned and said, Dao friends, everyone can see the current situation. A group of Nihility spirit realm cultivators dared to find trouble with our sections. Junior sister Gu He, senior brother Gu Yu and I intend to join forces to fight against them. Everyone is willing to join the battle. We can't be responsible for any casualties. Gu Yu directly cut off his worries. Xia Yingjun looked at him with admiration. The Nihility spirit realm cultivators that joined were more or less shaken. However, after some consideration, no one left the team. Even if they didn't fight with the Nihility spirit realm cultivators now, they would still have to fight one-on-one after leaving the Maze Valley secret domain. Everyone could see clearly that with Xia Yingjun and the other 2 seniors leading the team, their chances of winning would definitely be higher than outside. If they could eliminate all the Nihility Spirit Realm cultivators in the Maze Valley secret domain, everyone's ranking would also increase. Not only did no one quit, more and more Nihility Spirit Realm cultivators joined in. The sky was densely packed like a huge black cloud. Many Nihility Spirit Realm cultivators also came to the mountain where Bai Qiming was standing. Looking down from the sky, it looked like a huge coiling dragon. When the forces were almost gathered, Xia Yingjun glanced at Gu Yu and Gu He. Seeing the two nod at him, he raised his blade and rushed towards the mountain. A huge battle was about to break out. However, a shout came from the mountain peak. "Thank you, Senior Bai, for your help. However, those 3 Nihility Spirit Realm cultivators aren't a threat to me. Everyone, there's no need to fight. Let me eliminate them alone." When this voice rang out, the cultivators on both sides that were about to make their moves were all stunned. Several thousand pairs of eyes looked at the mountain peak Qin Feng was sitting on. The spiritual energy whirlpool in the sky had already condensed into a cloud shape. This was the sign of a breakthrough. "Bai Qiming, that fellow doesn't need your help. Don't think too highly of yourself. How about we come to an agreement? I'll fight that brat alone and resolve our personal grudges." The reason why Xia Yingjun suddenly changed his mind was because he knew that Qin Feng was about to break through. As a late-stage true spirit cultivator, breaking through would cause a tribulation. Many cultivators couldn't pass their tribulation and were stopped on the path of cultivation. This was the best time to make a move against Qin Feng. How could Bai Qiming not see through his thoughts? He immediately shouted with a serious face. "You large sect cultivators really are sinister. That young hero is about to break through and you're hitting him while he's down. Do you still have the demeanor of a senior? Don't talk nonsense here. I've already taken a step back. If you still insist on going about things the wrong way, then let's fight. But you'd better be clear about the facts. With just the people behind you, you'll only end up being completely annihilated. You can disregard your own life and death, but don't drag others down with you. If we really compare, then you're the selfish villain. What qualifications do you have to talk to me about the demeanor of an expert?" Xia Yingjun loudly cursed. Chapter 1949. "Xia Yingjun, do you have to pretend to be noble? Fine, you fight me one-on-one. The others won't participate in this battle," Bai Qiming said indifferently. Xia Yingjun's face was ashen. He didn't want to fight Bai Qiming one-on-one. No matter who won or lost, the other experts would benefit. Seeing that the two sides were in a deadlock again, Qin Feng's voice came from the mountain top again. "Senior Bai, do as I say. Let Xia Yingjun and the other 2 ants fight me. The others can just watch." His words caused the crowd to discuss heatedly. Xia Yingjun and the other 2 were genius disciples from 7-star sections. The weakest among them was Nihility God Realm Level 6. No one knew where Qin Feng got the confidence to say such arrogant words. The disciples gathered in the sky looked at Qin Feng with disdain. The rogue cultivators shook their heads and sighed. Bai Qiming and them had come this far, but they helped a pig teammate. At this moment, even Bai Qiming couldn't understand Qin Feng's thoughts. From how he killed Lin Rui, Qin Feng wasn't an arrogant person. But why did he dare to fight 1 against 3? What was his trump card? Xia Yingjun laughed. "Ha ha! Surname Bai, I already said you were meddling. He is very strong. Why would he need the help of you ants? Isn't this a slap to his face?" Bai Qiming's face was cold, and he didn't say anything. He was complaining about Qin Feng in his heart. A loud sound suddenly exploded on the mountain top Qin Feng was sitting on. Xia Yingjun used up his patience and slashed down with his saber. The huge Xingyuan saber landed on the top of the mountain and was deflected by a light wall. Xia Yingjun didn't stop and slashed down a few more times. At the same time, he shouted to the 2 people beside him. "Let's work together to break the formation. Today, that brat must die." Gu Yu and Gu He also attacked. Gu Yu used a long and thin sword. The blade radiated with light, while Gu He held a lotus leaf. The lotus leaf was a level 8 spiritual herb. It was forged into an offensive magic weapon. The attacks of the three were extremely fierce. The mountain-top Qin Feng sat unrumbled. The crowd was already dumbfounded. When they saw the three young geniuses make their moves, they realized that they had underestimated their strength. Bai Qiming led a group of loose cultivators to a nearby mountain. He did not stop the three of them from attacking. Now that the situation had developed to this point, Bai Qiming could not find any reason to intervene. Even Qin Fen had indicated that he did not need help. They could not be thick-skinned and take the risk. The speed at which the array was being broken was faster than everyone had imagined. In the short time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the aura of the level 6 defense array was extremely weak. Just as the eyes of Xia Yingjun and the other two lit up with excitement, an earth-shattering explosion sounded from the top of the mountain. The three of them were stunned. This wasn't caused by their attacks. Crackle! It wasn't the sound of a violent collision at all, but a thunderous explosion. Everyone looked up at the sky above the mountain. The sky was filled with thunderclouds. The weather is changing, and the thunderclouds are condensing. Are these the signs of a breakthrough? Who the hell is this person? He actually set up a formation to break through under the pursuit of three geniuses. He is really broad-minded. So what if he breaks through? I think that guy won't even be able to avoid the lightning tribulation. He will be killed by the three seniors first. No one could guess what Qin Fen was thinking. He actually chose this kind of dangerous moment to break through. The thunderclouds in the sky became denser and denser. Lightning flashed through the clouds. Everyone doubted whether Qin Fen could pass this powerful lightning tribulation. Not to mention that there were three late-stage Void God Realm experts blocking him. However, only a few Void God Realm experts were shocked. They were stunned by the powerful lightning tribulation that Qin Fen's breakthrough triggered. Although the lightning hadn't actually landed, the violent aura hidden in the thunderclouds made them panic. How was this the lightning tribulation of a late-stage true spirit cultivator? It was even more ferocious than the Void God Realm's lightning tribulation. Whoosh! The first lightning bolt fell without any warning. It was a purple lightning bolt as thick as an arm. The lightning bolt flashed and disappeared like a purple dragon falling from the sky. It exploded on the mountain Qin Fen was sitting on, and the level 6 defense array was instantly destroyed. Damn! What kind of lightning tribulation is this? Why is it so ferocious? Even my Void God Realm lightning tribulation isn't as powerful as his. No wonder he can kill Void God Realm experts even though he's only in the true spirit realm. This young hero isn't simple. What a pity! If this young hero could control his arrogance, he might be famous in the entire South Flat continent in a few decades. But today, he will die for sure. The 9 transformations true lightning's power shocked the crowd. This was one of the 9 great killing lightning tribulations of the divine continent. Since Qin Fen had decided to change back his identity after the Genius Conference, he didn't mind exposing the killing lightning tribulation. Xia Yingjun and the other two abruptly stopped in their tracks when the grade 6 defense formation broke. They had been waiting for the formation to break, but when the moment finally arrived, the three of them were suppressed by the might of the lightning tribulation that filled the sky. What kind of lightning tribulation is this? Xia Yingjun's eyes widened and his heart was in turmoil. Gu Yu and Gu He also had a complicated expression on their faces. Even the lightning tribulation they triggered when they broke through was not as ferocious as the one in front of them. Qin Fen was just a true spirit realm cultivator, so how could he trigger such a heaven-defying lightning tribulation? I know, this is the killing lightning tribulation! Gu He screamed as the shock in her beautiful eyes intensified. Gu Yu and Xia Yingjun inhaled sharply. In fact, they had already thought of the killing lightning tribulation, but they were just unwilling to admit it. Rumor had it that there were 9 types of killing lightning tribulations in the divine continent. Anyone who could trigger a killing lightning tribulation was a peerless ultimate god expert. However, there were very few cultivators who could survive a killing lightning tribulation, and it was hard to say if there were any. Rumor had it that the divine continent's strongest expert, a great Tao ultimate god, also triggered a killing lightning tribulation and survived. However, the great Tao ultimate God was a matter of thousands of years ago, so it was impossible to verify whether the legend was true or not. After thousands of years, another person who triggered a killing lightning tribulation appeared. This person was standing on the mountain top. From his cultivation realm, it was obvious that he had successfully passed several killing lightning tribulations. How is this possible? Everyone had the same thought in their hearts. At this time, the mountain top where Qin was sitting cross-legged was surrounded by thunder clouds as if it had formed a thunder mountain. He suddenly opened his eyes and stood up from the ground. He was surrounded by a sea of thunder, but his expression was calm without the slightest fear. Even his eyes could not hide the light of excitement. True Spirit Realm 8. True Spirit Realm 9. This time, he had crossed 2 small realms in a row, from True Spirit Realm 7 to peak True Spirit Realm 9. Moreover, the effects of the 2 void-breaking pills had not completely dissipated. There were still 3 supreme-grade spirit stones left under his feet. Qin knew that if he continued to cultivate, he could break through again. However, the lightning tribulation had appeared and destroyed the rank 6 defense formation. Even if he wanted to break through to the empty God realm now, Xia Yingjun and the others could not help him. Chapter 1950. Quick! Don't let that kid pass the tribulation successfully! Xia Yingjun woke up and immediately slashed towards Qin's mountain peak. Qin's strength was out of Xia Yingjun's expectations. This guy could actually trigger a sure-kill lightning tribulation. No wonder he could kill Lin Rui, who was at Hollow God Realm level 6. If they allowed this monster to continue developing, he would definitely be a nightmare for their sections. Xia Yingjun wasn't the only one who realized the severity of the problem. When Gu Yu and Gu He woke up, they attacked immediately. The swords and sabers condensed from quintessential essence fell from the sky, while Gu He used her lotus leaves to conjure up a powerful quintessential essence storm to attack the top of the mountain. When the 3 attacks collided in midair, a black hole immediately appeared in the space around them. The mountain peak collapsed instantly, but everyone realized that Qin wasn't dead. This was because the lightning clouds in the sky hadn't dissipated and there were still several bolts of lightning striking down. Rumble! Wherever the lightning bolts landed, the mountain collapsed and the ground cracked. This was the first time everyone had seen such a powerful lightning tribulation, and they were all dumbfounded. When Qin appeared again, he stood on a flying sword and hovered in front of Xia Yingjun and the other 2. His body was surrounded by lightning and crackling sounds could be heard. A powerful aura shot out from his body, causing Xia Yingjun and the other 2 to feel some fear. What kind of monster is this? The 3 of them were shocked. As the representatives of the South Flat Continent's top geniuses, before they met Qin, they had always looked down on their peers with a high and mighty attitude. They didn't even care about some of the elders. But after witnessing Qin's godly might today, they felt extremely ashamed. Compared to Qin's talent, they were completely useless cultivators. They regretted offending Qin, but it was too late to retreat now. The 3 of them could see the strong killing intent in Qin's eyes. Not only did this guy not escape, he actually wanted to kill the 3 of them. He's just a true spirit realm itinerant cultivator. So what if he breaks through to the peak? The 3 of us can definitely kill him if we work together. Xia Yingjun felt a sense of panic. This feeling was foreign to him, and he had never felt this way before he met Qin. He immediately roped in Gu Yu and Gu He, trying to relieve the pressure in this way. But just as he finished speaking, Qin's attack had already arrived. Or rather, it was not Qin who launched the attack, but the lightning tribulation he triggered exploded above Xia Yingjun's head. Whoosh! When the purple thunder that was as thick as a person's waist fell, Gu Yu and Gu He, who were about to make a move, were stunned on the spot. They even forgot to attack, but their bodies instinctively retreated and avoided the sea of thunder. Xia Yingjun immediately realized that he was the only one left in the sea of lightning. He immediately dispelled the thought of fighting Qin head-on. However, before he could escape, a powerful divine sense pierced his mind and attacked his sea of consciousness. At this moment, Xia Yingjun revealed an incomparably shocked expression. The strength of his divine sense was definitely at the peak among his peers, but when Qin Feng's divine sense attack was launched, he didn't even have a chance to resist before he was hit. The other party actually had a divine sense attack? Xia Yingjun couldn't believe it. He thought that Qin Feng had used all sorts of methods to kill Lin Rui. Only now did he suddenly realize that what Qin Feng had revealed was only the tip of the iceberg. Under the combination of the lightning tribulation and the divine sense attack, Xia Yingjun was stunned for a moment. But it was also in this short gap that a waist-thick purple thunder exploded on his body, instantly destroying the high-grade spirit armor he was wearing. Xia Yingjun's clothes were all torn apart, and smoke rose from his body. His hair was disheveled, and his skin was charred. He looked extremely battered and exhausted. The crowd had long been in an uproar. This was the eldest genius disciple of a seven-star sect, Time Mountain. He was usually elegant and aloof. This was the first time everyone had seen him in such a miserable state. However, this was only the beginning. That resplendent black light appeared again, instantly enveloping the sky within a radius of 1,000 meters. The area that was enveloped by the black light was like a huge black hole that even divine sense couldn't penetrate. Within the boundary, Qin Feng hovered in the air on his sword. He held a dazzling black saber in his hand and his eyes were filled with cold light. Xia Yingjun was shocked. He had thought that Qin Feng had a position-type treasure like the seven-colored ghost-face soul banner, which was why he was able to trap and kill Lin Rui. Now that he was personally trapped in the boundary, he suddenly realized that Qin Feng had actually used the boundary. How is this possible? You're only at the true spirit stage. How can you use the boundary? Xia Yingjun seemed to be muttering to himself, his voice trembling. Qin Feng had heard these words too many times. Almost every expert who died in his boundary would ask the same question before they died. No one has ever said that the boundary can only be comprehended at the nihility god stage and used at the body condensation stage. To think that you're a top genius of the South Plateau continent. You're an insult to the name of a genius. Qin Feng's words exploded in Xia Yingjun's mind like thunder. If anyone else dared to question his title as a genius, he would definitely refute them angrily. However, when Qin Feng said these words calmly, he didn't even have the mood to refute. When the aura of death enveloped him, Xia Yingjun finally realized that he was going to die. He had never considered such a thing before. He was young and promising. He had reached the late-stage nihility god stage before the age of 50 and had the backing of a seven-star sect. How could he be killed? However, the killing intent under Qin Feng's saber was so cold that it was about to solidify. Xia Yingjun knew that Qin Feng really dared to kill him because Qin Feng had killed Gu Shiyao's Lin Rui not long ago. Don't kill me. I'm willing to withdraw from the competition. Xia Yingjun was anxious. The people outside the boundary couldn't hear these words at all. Otherwise, the crowd would be in an uproar again. The genius disciple of a seven-star sect, Time Mountain, was scared off by a late-stage true spirit cultivator. This was a huge joke. Don't you think it's too late to say all this now? Puchi. Qin Feng's hand didn't stop moving. The saber wasn't fast. It was like an old granny practicing the Taiji sword on the square in the morning. However, no matter how slow it was, Xia Yingjun couldn't dodge it. His body was completely trapped by Qin Feng's boundary. He could only watch as death approached. That feeling made him go crazy. The explosion was earth-shattering. The black hole boundary in the sky quickly dissipated. Qin Feng's figure gradually became clear, but he could no longer see Xia Yingjun. Not only did he disappear, but he couldn't even catch a trace of his aura. This scene was very similar to the scene where Qin Feng killed Gu Shiao and Lin Rui not long ago. With the previous example, everyone immediately realized the truth of Xia Yingjun's death. However, it was hard for them to accept this fact. Xia Yingjun was a top genius of the South Plateau continent. Whoosh! the intense thunder woke the crowd up from the shock. The lightning tribulation caused by Qin Feng had yet to dissipate. He had advanced from level 7 to level 9 in a row. 2 lightning tribulations had fallen at the same time. The cultivators gathered on the surrounding peaks were silent, not even the slightest movement. The group of disciples who were originally suspended in the sky had long been scared and fled in all directions. Even Gu He and Gu Yu had retreated. Qin Feng's strength was earth-shattering. These so-called geniuses of the South Flat Continent felt ashamed. Before they met Qin Feng, they were arrogant and complacent, but now they only felt that they were trash. There would always be dark horses in every genius meet, but Qin Feng was definitely the strongest dark horse in the South Flat Continent in the past few hundred years. He was just an itinerant cultivator, and no one knew his name before this. However, he had shocked everyone in the Maze Valley mystic realm today. He had single-handedly killed many sect geniuses and even killed 2 disciples of 7-star sections. After stepping into the true spirit realm, Qin Feng no longer feared the lightning tribulation. He found that his cultivation kept increasing, but the power of the lightning tribulation didn't change much. His peak true spirit realm true essence was several times stronger than before, and his divine sense had also been strengthened. Qin Feng completely ignored the sea of lightning and swung his saber at Gu He and Gu Yu, chasing after the 2 of them. His actions made the crowd speechless, but he didn't get what he wanted this time. Before the saber could slash down, a white light appeared in the sky. Qin Feng felt dizzy, and when he opened his eyes again, he was already out of the secret Maze Valley. They're out! They're out! The secret Maze Valley is over! Eh? Why are there so few people? Why is the survival rate in the Maze Valley mystic realm so low? Something's wrong. There are so many rogue cultivators here. Could it be that the sect disciples didn't work together to bully the rogue cultivators? I found a terrifying matter. The 7-star sect Gu Xiaoyao's Lin Rui and Time Mountain's Xia Yingjun have disappeared? The crowd gathered in the Tiantong city square exploded. They had been anxiously waiting outside for a long time, and the secret realm had finally ended. But the secret Maze Valley this time was a bit different. Not only were there fewer cultivators coming out, the people that came out seemed to be stunned, standing in the center of the square without doing anything. Senior Bai Qiming, what's wrong with everyone? Gu Yu, my disciple, what are you doing standing there? Many people asked, but no one answered. After a while, a scream came from the crowd. Evildoer! A monster has appeared in the South Ping state. This voice woke up the participating cultivators. The sect disciples ran back to their sects like crazy, but the rogue cultivators were shouting excitedly, as if they were celebrating the new year. The crowd outside had no idea what was going on inside the Maze Valley, and they were completely confused. At this moment, a shadow appeared in the sky, and a violent aura swept up from its body, suppressing the group of shouting rogue cultivators into silence. Where is my carefree sect's head disciple, Lin Rui? Who can tell me? The figure floating in the sky was the great elder of Gu Xiaoyao's team. His strong aura was unfathomable, and his cultivation level was even more unfathomable. Another figure appeared beside Gu Xiaoyao, wearing the clothes of Time Mountain. Why is Time Mountain's Xia Yingjun's disciple nowhere to be seen? What exactly happened in the secret Maze Valley? The crowd outside the square finally realized what was going on, and immediately revealed a shocked expression. Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun were the genius disciples of 7-star sects, and they were hot favorites to fight their way into the top 10 of the genius competition. In everyone's hearts, it was absolutely impossible for the 2 of them to die. However, once the Maze Valley was closed, everyone who was still alive would be teleported out. But now, they could not see the 2 of them. What was going on? Chapter 1951. Gu He from Yunhua finally came to her senses. She turned around and stared at Qin Feng coldly. Elder Lin Dao, Elder Xia Dang. Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun died in the Maze Valley mystic realm. They were killed by that person. The plaza was filled with screams when they heard that the 2 top geniuses of the South Flat Continent had died. Tens of thousands of cultivators looked in the direction that Gu He pointed at and landed their gazes on Qin Fin. Qin Fin stood in the center of the plaza with his white robe fluttering in the wind. He looked indifferent, as if he didn't see the complicated gazes that were cast at him. What? Lin Rui's disciple was killed? How is that possible? That kid is only at the peak of the true spirit realm. How could he be a match for Xia Yingjuan's disciple? Girl Gu He, are you sure you're not mistaken? Gu Xiaoyao and the two elders from the Time Mountain were shocked. They took a quick glance at Qin Fin and immediately felt that there was something fishy about this matter. Not to mention the two great elders of the seven-star sects. All the cultivators on the square had doubtful expressions on their faces. Only the disciples who came out of the Maze Valley had helpless expressions on their faces. Although they couldn't accept the truth, it was absolutely true. Elders, senior sister Gu He is right. Not only were senior brother Lin Rui and senior brother Xia Yingjun killed, many disciples were also killed by that madman. He specifically targeted the disciples of the sects in the mystic realm and even said that the disciples should either withdraw from the competition or die. Whoosh! The plaza was in an uproar. Everyone was stunned. There was actually someone who dared to speak such arrogant nonsense. Was he tired of living? Even Lin Dao and Xia Deng were stunned for a long time. When the two of them regained their senses, a strong killing intent surged out from their bodies. As soon as the killing intent spread out, some of the weaker cultivators felt dizzy. Elder of the Xinquan sect, the genius disciple of your sect, Su Qian, was also killed by that rogue cultivator. Senior Wan Li of the Myriad Formation sect is also dead. He was killed by that scoundrel. The three disciples of the Jiang clan who floated on water were all killed. The disciples of the Qilin Mountain died tragically in the mystic realm. More and more sect disciples woke up from their stupor. They were so frightened by Qin Feng's power in the secret realm that they didn't dare to speak. After they came out, they immediately found the sect's elders to rely on, and began to complain frantically. When the names of the genius disciples of the sects were announced, there was no lack of 6-star sects and 5-star sects among them. The crowd on the square was shocked once again as they looked at Qin Feng in disbelief. This fellow was clearly only in the peak 9th true spirit realm. How did he kill all these experts' disciples? How was this possible? Everyone who hadn't entered the secret realm had doubts in their hearts. If they had seen the power of Qin Fen's realm with their own eyes, as well as the sure-kill lightning tribulation that he had triggered, they probably wouldn't have these doubts anymore. How did he kill so many disciples? Who can give me a satisfactory answer? Lin Dao let out a wild roar. The clouds above his head tumbled, and the weather changed along with his rage. At this moment, Lin Dao wished he could slap Qin Feng to death. Lin Rui was a genius disciple that Gu Xiaoyao had raised for several decades and who knew how many cultivation resources had been spent on him. Now was the time for Lin Rui to repay the sect, but before he could even obtain a ranking in the genius competition, he had already been killed. However, Lin Dao still resisted the urge to kill. Compared to killing Qin Feng immediately, he wanted to know how this seemingly peak true spirit realm cultivator was able to do this. Elder Lin Dao, that fella can display a realm! Someone cried out loudly. Lin Dao's expression instantly changed as his eyes filled with disbelief. He had only comprehended realm when he was at the mid-void god realm, and could only use realm when he was at the early body condensation realm. The youth in front of him didn't seem to be over 30. How was this possible? Did I hear wrong? That brat can use realm? He's only a true spirit realm. Where did this monster come from? Could it be that the West Sea continent and the East Field continent came here to act tough? Even if he can use realm, it's impossible for him to kill late void god realm Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun. While the crowd was still in shock, someone shouted. Not only can he use realm, but he also triggered the lightning tribulation. At that moment, the huge square of Tiantong's city suddenly became quiet. It was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Everyone stood motionless on the spot as if they were under a spell. They were shocked as if their minds were being bombarded by lightning. He triggered the lightning tribulation? I heard that the cultivators who can trigger the lightning tribulation are all peerless ultimate gods. If they can survive the lightning tribulation, they will definitely become one of the top experts in the divine continent. I finally believe that he really has the talent to kill Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun. Lightning tribulation. Those 4 words echoed in Lin Dao's mind. It was a term he often heard, but it was so unfamiliar. The divine continent had developed for tens of thousands of years, and only a few peerless ultimate gods were able to trigger a deadly lightning tribulation. In the vast South Square continent, no one had ever heard of such a divine being appearing in the past 1,000 years. Now one had suddenly appeared out of nowhere, but he was not a disciple of any sect. His face was so unfamiliar that no one had even heard of his name. "How dare you kill my sect's disciple, Lin Rui? Today will be the day you die!" The shock in Lin Dao's heart had not subsided, but he had already launched an attack on Qin Fin. Qin Fin was already a dead man in Lin Dao's eyes when he found out that Qin Fin could trigger the lightning tribulation. How could such a monstrous genius cultivator be left alive? If he was allowed to develop further, he would become a nightmare for the 7-star sects. A huge true essence handprint floated in the air. It was several times bigger than the handprint of a hollow god realm cultivator. The thick true essence condensed into a substantial cloud, covering half the sky. The light surrounding Qin Fin was completely shrouded. He felt like he was standing in a dark corner, like an ant that could be killed at any time. When the surging true essence appeared, he realized that his opponent's cultivation was not something he could handle. He did not even have a chance of survival. Qin Fin wanted to hide in the astral world immediately. Now that he was in a life and death situation, he did not have the time to consider whether the system would be exposed. Moreover, he realized that his system might have been exposed a long time ago. In the Maze Valley secret territory, he always felt like he was being monitored. Once he left the secret territory, that feeling disappeared immediately. "This is Tiantong City. Who dares to behave atrociously here?" Before Qin Fin could activate his thoughts, an old and dignified voice rang out. A layer of true essence appeared above Qin Fin's head. That true essence barrier collided with Lin Dao's palm print, and a violent explosion spread out, even causing a black hole to collapse in the vast sky. But Qin Fin stood in the middle of the true essence barrier, and didn't feel anything at all. Chapter 1952. Explosions sounded one after another. A shadow appeared in the explosion. It was the elder from Tiantong City. He stood in the middle of the explosion, surrounded by a layer of mist and light, as if he wasn't afraid of the power of the explosion. Lin Dao's attack didn't land, so he was extremely angry. However, when the elder from Tiantong City appeared, his aura immediately dissipated. "I didn't know that Brother Tianming was here. I was impolite." Lin Dao cupped his fists and smiled. He looked completely different from the ferocious expression he had when he wanted to kill Qin Feng. Tianming's figure was blurry, so his expression couldn't be seen clearly. However, his tone was cold. "Tiantong City has always been peaceful. No one or force is allowed to cause trouble here. It seems that Elder Lin Dao is challenging the dignity of my Tiantong City?" A cold light flashed in Lin Dao's eyes. Although he was very dissatisfied with Tiantong City, he had no choice but to face the powerful forces of Tiantong City. The city lord of this city was elusive, and was usually only protected by 4 great elders. These 4 elders had unfathomable cultivation, and even Lin Dao did not have the confidence to deal with them. "I think Brother Tianming has misunderstood. Our Gu Xiaoyao has always been on good terms with Tiantong City. Why would we cause trouble here? It's just that Brother Tianming must have seen what happened just now. That reckless disciple started a massacre in the secret realm. He killed our sect's disciples and even killed our genius disciple, Lin Rui. How can I not take revenge?" When Lin Dao mentioned Lin Rui's death, a ferocious expression appeared on his face again. However, Tianming's tone didn't change. He said indifferently, "The dispute between you has nothing to do with Tiantong City. I only protect the rules established by Tiantong City. If anyone dares to make a move in Tiantong City, don't blame me for being impolite. Even if the other party was the great elder of a 7-star sect in South Pingzhou continent, Tianming didn't give him any face. This action shocked the crowd. Tiantong City was really unyielding. Lin Dao's beloved disciple died, and he was slapped in the face in front of everyone. He was furious, but he didn't fall out with Tianming in the end. That was an extremely unwise decision. The two figures disappeared in the sky. The auras of Lin Dao and Time Mountain's great elder Xia Deng had already dissipated. On the surface, it seemed like they were going to let Qin Feng go. However, everyone knew that they were just waiting for an opportunity. The genius contest continued. Tianming's figure floated in the air, and his aged voice rang clearly in the ears of every cultivator present. The first segment of the labyrinth's secret realm has ended. Now may the contestants draw lots for the second segment. Other than the first segment, the Maze Valley secret domain, the subsequent segments of the South Flat Continent's genius meet were similar to the North Sand Continent's. The advancing disciples would draw lots to determine their opponents, and the top 100 geniuses of the South Flat Continent would be chosen through elimination. Finally, the top 10 geniuses would be chosen. Qin Feng drew a bamboo lot with the number 1001 carved on it. When he jumped onto field 1001, he realized that no one had come up for a long time. Did his opponent run away? The disciple who drew number 1001, please come on stage. When the judges of the conference discovered the situation, they began to look for people. They called out a few times, but no one appeared. One last reminder, the cultivator who draws bamboo lot 1001 must come up the stage. If no one comes up after 3 seconds, that cultivator will automatically withdraw from the competition. After 3 seconds, only Qin Feng was left standing on the stage with his hands behind his back. The square was already filled with discussions. Everyone guessed that the contestant had already forfeited. After knowing that he was going to fight with the monstrous genius Qin Feng, he didn't even have the courage to go up the stage. The judges were speechless. In the past, they had never encountered such a situation. Even if a disciple forfeited, he would at least go up the stage to explain himself. This time, the opponent was so scared that he didn't even dare to show his face. However, after thinking about it, the 4 judges felt relieved. Qin Feng was a monster who single-handedly killed the powerful disciples of the various sects in the Maze Valley secret domain. Even the disciples of the 7-star sect Gu Xiaoyao and the Shattered Moon Mountain had died tragically in his hands. Facing such a terrifying opponent, it wasn't strange for him to be so scared that he forfeited the competition. Qin Feng won a match without even making a move, and became the first contestant to advance in the second round of the competition. However, the competition wasn't over yet. Qin Feng had to immediately join the next round of matches until his ranking was determined. The spectating cultivators on the square had complicated expressions. Qin Feng's sudden appearance had still left them in a state of shock. The topic about him never stopped. Regardless of whether it was the rogue cultivators or the disciples of the sects, they were all talking about Jiao Feng. Younger brother Xia Deng, that ant must die. Outside the square, a voice transmission flew into the ears of the Time Mountain's great elder Xia Deng. He was probably the only one present who could hear this voice. In other words, if the great elders of Sky Connection City wanted to hear it, they could hear it too. Xia Deng's eyes were cold as he replied, "Dao brother Lin, we will definitely kill him. However, we are still in Sky Connection City, so we should be careful. We will keep watch outside Sky Connection City. As soon as that ant steps out of the city gate, we will immediately take action." The 2 great elders of the 7-star sects were completely enraged by Qin Feng. They were waiting for the end of the competition with the mentality of killing Qin Feng. Their capable disciple had already died, and even the other 2 disciples who participated in the competition had died in the Maze Valley secret domain. As such, Gu Xiaoyao and the Time Mountain were no longer fated to participate in this year's genius competition. They wouldn't even be able to get into the top 100. Such a thing would never happen in previous genius competitions. These two peak sects of the South Plateau continent were not the only ones planning to kill Qin Feng. Almost all the sects and forces in the South Plateau continent had their eyes on Qin Feng. Yunwei and the two elders of the Wind God Valley were also communicating with Jin Yuan. The leader of the Myriad Formation sect was gnashing his teeth in anger. Su Wumian of the Xinquan sect had also arrived. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at Qin Feng at all times. It was only because he did not know that Qin Feng was the one who took the spirit tortoise shell from the Xinquan weapon workshop. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood and died from anger. Qilin Mountain, Drifting on Water, Jiang Clan, Wind Element Sect, Immortal Gourd Sect, Tai Sect, there were countless sects that wanted to kill Qin Feng. Qin Feng probably did not expect it to be so big this time. However, in a corner of the square, a tall and thin woman stood in a daze. She maintained her shocked expression for a long time. Her red lips were slightly open, and tears welled up in her sparkling eyes as she stared at Qin Feng in the center of the square. A few drops of tears rolled down the woman's pretty face, but the corner of her mouth curved into a smile. These were tears of joy. At this moment, she even felt like she was dreaming. Ever since she came to this foreign continent more than a year ago, the woman had always wanted to return to her hometown. However, she knew that she could not go back. Moreover, she did not want to leave just like that because she had not met the person she was looking for. However, on such a special occasion, the woman saw the man she had been looking for a long time. The man wore a white robe and stood on the square with his hands behind his back. His divine aura suppressed all living beings. Even the contestants who fought with him all gave up, not even daring to show their faces. The woman was Qin Duoer. She was crying tears of joy. Her brother had reached the peak of martial arts in China, and he had come to this foreign and powerful divine mainland. He was still the big brother in Qin Duoer's heart. Brother! Qin Duoer could not help but shout out. This was the emotion she had suppressed in her heart for more than 2 years. However, the crowd on the square was like a tide of thunder. Her voice was immediately drowned out. Mu Qin, what are you doing? A tall and handsome figure stood in front of Qin Duoer, stopping her from rushing to the arena. Qin Duoer looked at the man anxiously and said, Eldest senior brother, I want to go up. The man frowned. Little junior sister, only contestants can enter that arena. You can't go there. Qin Duoer was anxious. She looked past Mu Jingyi and stared at Qin Feng, who was in the center of the arena. She was afraid that her brother would disappear if she blinked. Qin Duo originally came with her uncle and grandfather, but she was chosen by an elder of the Celestial Gourd sect and brought back to the sect, leaving her alone. She was only a girl in her early 20s. One could imagine the helplessness and despair of living alone in a completely foreign continent. Now that she had finally found her brother, Qin Duo wanted to rush to Qin Feng's side immediately. She did not want to be separated from her brother for even a second. However, Mu Jingyi stood in front of her. Qin Duo was furious. Mu Jingyi, get out of my way! I'm not Mu Qin. I'm Qin Duo. Mu Jingyi was stunned. He looked at her in surprise. Mu Qin, what's wrong? I'm your eldest senior brother. Suddenly, a figure floated over with a strong aura. Qin Duo, do you know that person? Even though Qin Duo was very anxious, she still bowed and said, Master, I found my brother! The old man squinted his eyes. A cold light flashed across his eyes. You said that monster is your brother? Qin Duo was very anxious after seeing Qin Feng. She did not have the time to think. She said proudly, Yes! That peerless genius is my brother! Hearing this, the disciples of the Celestial Gourd sect became silent. They looked at Qin Duo in disbelief. If Qin Feng was here, he would definitely recognize Qin Duo as master. It was the old man who had been waiting for him with another elder of the Celestial Gourd sect for more than half a month. Qin Duo finally realized the seriousness of the problem when she felt the strange looks from her senior brothers and sisters. It was said that Qin Feng had slaughtered the disciples of the Celestial Gourd sect in the secret land of the Maze Valley. He even killed the genius disciple of the Celestial Gourd sect. Now that the Celestial Gourd sect and Qin Feng were enemies, what should she do? I was worried about how to catch that brat. Now that the opportunity is here, you guys watch Mu Qin. Don't let her cause any trouble. Elder Mu Jin's tone was cold. When he looked at Qin Feng in the arena, a playful smile flashed across his eyes. Qin Duo was very anxious. She regretted exposing her relationship with Qin Feng. Even if Mu Jin did not say how she was going to deal with Qin Feng, Qin Duo could guess that it had something to do with her. Master, my brother will not kill the innocent. There must be a misunderstanding. Please forgive him this time. Qin Duo tried her best to plead, but Mu Jin did not even look at her. She disappeared. Chapter 1953. Qin Feng didn't know that Qin Duo was on the square, and he didn't even use his divine sense to search. First, there were more than 100,000 cultivators on the square, and it would be troublesome to use his divine sense to scan them one by one. Second, he didn't think that his sister would come to participate in the Genius Conference. After all, he knew Qin Duo's cultivation and she didn't have the qualifications to come here. Soon, the first round of the competition ended. Qin Feng drew a new lot. When he jumped onto the corresponding square, his opponent ran away without even showing his face. The crowd started to discuss again. Even though this year's Genius Conference hadn't ended and Qin Feng's name hadn't been announced, his name had already spread far and wide. This was his goal for participating in the conference. The same situation happened more than 10 times. Every time, only Qin Feng stood on the stage. His opponent never appeared and he didn't even know which sect he was from. Even Qin Feng didn't think this would happen. He realized that it was his power in the secret domain that suppressed all the participants. However, when he thought about it from another perspective, the actions of those contestants who withdrew from the competition were extremely wise. He had even killed 2 genius disciples from a 7-star sect, so how could other cultivators challenge him? This was no different from suicide. No one dared to challenge him, so Qin Feng had a moment of peace. The competition quickly progressed to the end, and the names of the top 10 geniuses were revealed. Naturally, Qin Feng was one of them. Moreover, he was one of the people who entered the top 10 geniuses without even fighting. This situation had never happened in the past. Qin Feng had created an unprecedented legend. However, the competition wasn't over yet, there was still a top 10 ranking to be determined. Once again, Qin Feng drew number 5. As he stood on the 5th stage with his hands behind his back, he wondered if his opponent would continue to withdraw. The moment this thought appeared, a black shadow landed in front of him with a familiar face. I didn't have time to kill you in the secret domain, now is the perfect time. Qin Feng's expression was cold. His opponent this time was Guyu of the Wind God Valley. When the two of them faced off, the square was filled with screams. This was definitely a battle worth looking forward to. Finally, someone dares to fight that brat and it's Senior Guyu of the Wind God Valley. Rumor has it that Senior Guyu has already reached Nihility God Realm level 7 and is able to kill people who are stronger than him. I want to see how capable that rogue cultivator is. Can he defeat Senior Guyu? That kid's strength was all described by the cultivators who came out from the Maze Valley Pocket Dimension. We didn't see it with our own eyes. Even now, I still have my doubts about whether it's true or not. Only the participating cultivators had seen Qin Feng's divine might, and most of the cultivators gathered outside the Tiantong City Plaza had only heard of it. How much they were looking forward to seeing Qin Feng fight. They really wanted to see how powerful this monstrous genius that even the disciples of 7-star sects were afraid of was. In the end, all the previous opponents had fled without a fight. They were so scared that they didn't even dare to show their faces. Now that someone had finally stepped up, everyone's hearts were about to jump out of their throats. It was just that when Guyu opened her mouth, it was like a basin of cold water splashed on everyone's head, making their excitement disappear in an instant. I'm not here to challenge you. I forfeit the competition. Gu Yu's voice was a bit low and he didn't even look at Qin Feng's eyes. If it was possible, Gu Yu would rather be like those cultivators who fled without fighting, leaving without showing their face. But now that the names of the top 10 geniuses had appeared, each cultivator's background was not small, their identity information was very clear. If he really ran away, the judges would also know his identity. When the judges announced that Gu Yu of the Wind God Valley fled without a fight, he wouldn't have the face to continue staying in the South Pingzhou state. A disciple of a 7-star sect only has this much? He doesn't even have the courage to fight? Qin Feng had a cold smile on his face. He really hoped that Gu Yu would fight. He had just broken through to peak True Spirit Realm Level 9 from the Maze Valley Pocket Dimension, and he urgently needed some experts to help him stabilize his realm. But even with such arrogant words, Gu Yu still didn't accept the challenge. He had personally witnessed Qin Feng's powerful skills. This person had killed Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun when he was still at True Spirit Realm Level 7. Now that he had broken through to peak True Spirit Realm Level 9, he didn't know how powerful he was. The square was filled with exclamations. No one expected Gu Yu to withdraw from the competition. He was a genius disciple of one of the 4 7-star sects in the South Pingzhou state. Before the start of this year's competition, he was internally designated as one of the 4 geniuses. Gu Yu, what nonsense are you saying? The Wind God Valley's great elder Gu Yong roared angrily and a fierce aura swept across the square, causing the crowd to breathe rapidly. It seemed that Gu Yu's decision to withdraw from the competition was not even mentioned to the great elder of the sect. He knew that it was useless to say it as Elder Gu Yong wouldn't agree. But Elder Gu Yong didn't even enter the Maze Valley Pocket Dimension, so how would he know how powerful Qin Feng was? Even if the great elder stopped him, Gu Yu was determined to withdraw. He was very clear that withdrawing from the competition would cause his reputation to plummet, and he might not be able to rise again for a long time. But he was even more clear that if he braced himself and fought with Qin Feng, he would only end up dead. Between his life and face, Gu Yu chose the former. If he died, he would have nothing left. I've decided to withdraw from the competition. Judges, please announce the results. Gu Yu's face was resolute, and he didn't dare to look at the furious great elder Gu Yong below the stage. The 4 judges were stunned for a long time before they recovered and looked at Gu Yu with puzzled expressions. One of them asked, Gu Yu, are you sure you want to withdraw? I'm definitely withdrawing. Good, you evil disciple. When we return to the sect, see how this old man will punish you. Gu Yong almost fainted from anger. The judge shook his head and sighed. He was also looking forward to the battle between Qin Feng and Gu Yu. Who knew that even Gu Yu would be scared to the point of withdrawing? Was that youth called Xiao Feng really that scary? I announce that the 10th place of this year's genius competition has been decided. Disciple Gu Yu of the 7-star sect Wind God Valley. When the judge's voice fell, the huge plaza was completely silent. The title of the South Flat Continent's 10th genius was already extremely rare. If it was in the previous genius competitions, it would definitely cause the crowd to scream. However, this result was simply a humiliation to the Wind God Valley. They were aiming for the title of number 1 genius. Gu Yu had already left. For a long time, he wouldn't have the face to appear in public in the South Flat Continent. All of this was caused by Qin Feng. Gu Yu kept muttering Xiao Feng's name in his heart. One day, he would take revenge. The competition continued. Soon, the 9th to 3rd places were confirmed. Because of the withdrawal of Time Mountain and Gu Xiaoyao, the top 10 geniuses of this year's genius competition were squeezed into some new sections. At this moment, everyone's gaze fell on the center of the plaza. The most anticipated number 1 genius was about to be born. However, a trace of worry arose in the hearts of the cultivators because the candidates for number 1 genius were Qin Feng and Gu He. Everyone was afraid that Gu He would withdraw from the competition. I hope you won't be like that turtle Gu Yu. Otherwise, I will be very disappointed. Qin Feng's words were extremely arrogant. He purposely provoked Gu He because he was also worried that this woman would withdraw from the competition. However, it was obviously useless to provoke the genius disciples of the 7-star sections. He had an indifferent expression and said in a cold tone, "I withdraw from the competition." Whoosh! The crowd could no longer remain calm. Even Yun Yu's he was withdrawing from the competition? In this case, didn't that itinerant cultivator with no identity become this year's #1 genius? What exactly is his background? He didn't even need to make a move from the beginning to the end and easily took the throne of the South Flat Continent's #1 genius? This is too ridiculous. I even suspect that this year's #1 genius has already been decided internally. That guy is definitely not an itinerant cultivator. His true background is probably terrifying. Didn't they say that he went on a killing spree in the Maze Valley mystic realm? Even Lin Rui and Senior Xia Yingjun died in his hands. Does he need to act so realistically? Are you stupid? The matter of the Maze Valley mystic realm is just what they said. No one knows what the real situation is. Qin Feng laughed in his heart when he heard people suspect that he was involved in dirty tricks. However, even he didn't expect that he would win this year's genius competition in such a way. After he came out of the Maze Valley mystic realm, he didn't fight again. His opponents all fled without fighting. The crowd on the plaza couldn't recover for a long time. The 4 judges on the stage were also dumbfounded. After he explained the withdrawal, she glared coldly at Qin Feng and left. Perhaps if the title of South Flat Continent's #2 genius fell on another cultivator's head, those people would be overjoyed. However, he was aiming for the #1 genius. She wasn't interested in the other rankings at all. However, when she truly faced Qin Feng, she instantly lost the courage to fight. Her cultivation was 1 level lower than Yu's. If even Yu chose to withdraw, what confidence did she have in defeating Qin Feng? The judges finally came to their senses. Their eyes were still filled with shock. One of them slowly walked to Qin Feng's side and said with a trembling voice, "Taoists of the South Flat Continent, this year's genius competition's #1 has appeared. Everyone has seen him." The judge suddenly stopped mid-sentence. He wanted to say, "Everyone has seen Qiao Feng's invincible might." However, he suddenly realized that Qin Feng didn't even fight. He coughed and continued, "Congratulations, Qiao Feng, for becoming this year's #1 genius of the South Flat Continent." Although it was a fact that Qin Feng had become the #1 genius, when the judge personally said it, it still caused the crowd to exclaim in shock. He really became the #1 genius? He didn't even fight once. In my memory, the #1 genius of the South Flat Continent has been taken by sect disciples. Young hero Qiao Feng is probably the first person in the past few hundred years to become the #1 genius as an independent cultivator. Big brother! While the crowd was in heated discussion, Qin Duo's eyes were already brimming with tears of excitement. She was more excited than anyone else because the white-robed Yu standing in the center of the plaza with his hands behind his back was her big brother. She was happy and proud of her big brother's achievements today. Chapter 1954. Qin Fen wasn't interested in the title of the #1 genius. He came to the South Pingzhou Genius Conference to become famous and let his sister know. Qin Fen couldn't imagine the loneliness and helplessness his sister, who was originally on Earth, had to bear after coming to a strange and cruel world like the Divine Continent. He wanted his sister to know that he was also in the South Pingzhou Genius Conference, so that she could find a home for her soul. Just as Qin Duo was thinking about her brother, Qin Fen's heart skipped a beat. He had a strong intuition that even he couldn't describe. He immediately scanned a corner of the square with his divine sense. Duo? Qin Fen was dumbfounded. He thought he was hallucinating, but when his divine sense locked onto Qin Duo, he realized that his sister was standing right in front of him. "I believe that everyone has the same regret as me. It's that you didn't get to see young hero Qiao fight with your own eyes. Now I suggest that young hero Qiao show everyone his skills. What do you all think?" The representative of the judges made a new request. But as soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the sky in shock. Qin Fin was no longer standing next to him. A silver light appeared under his feet and he rushed out of the square. Whoosh! The crowd was in an uproar. Everyone thought that Qin Fin was really going to show his skills, but they realized they were wrong. Qin Fin hovered in the air above the square on his flying sword. He stared at the disciples of the Celestial Gourd sect, as if he was looking at a girl. Tens of thousands of eyes fell on Qin Duo, but she didn't realize it. She raised her head and stared at the sky. Her brother was right in front of her, and he was looking at her with the same passionate gaze. Her brother had found her. Duo! Qin Fin's voice was trembling. He couldn't remember the last time he was this excited and nervous. He was so nervous that everything in front of him was an illusion. His sister would disappear in a blink of an eye. He had fought many powerful venerables and escaped from the edge of life and death, but he had never been this nervous. After a while, Qin Fin let out a long sigh of relief. He knew that his sister was right in front of him. Not only was he able to see his sister's face, but he could also sense her familiar aura and sweet smile. It couldn't be an illusion. Brother! Take me away! Qin Duo woke up with a start. 2 drops of tears rolled down her smiling face. At this moment, she recalled many memories of her time with Qin Fin. Those were the memories of when she was on Earth. She followed behind Qin Fin like a shadow and built a snowman with him. Actually, the time she spent with Qin Fin was very short. They only reunited for a few days during Chinese New Year every year. All right. Qin Fin responded softly, but his voice was filled with an unquestionable momentum. He bent down and rushed towards the Immortal Gourd sect, but before he could land, a powerful True Essence handprint blocked his way in midair, blocking his way. Mu Qin is the disciple of my Celestial Gourd. How can you take her away just because you want to? An old and dignified voice spread along with the quintessential Essence handprint. Many people were immediately shocked. They saw the figure that appeared in the void. It was the great elder of the Celestial Gourd, Mu Jin. Qin Fin immediately felt Mu Jin's powerful True Essence. This was an old man who had stepped into the peak of the Nihility God realm. Although Qin Fin had stepped into the peak of the True Spirit realm not long ago, he was not confident that he could deal with the peak of the Nihility God realm. If it was any other time, Qin Fin would have turned around and left. He would not fight a battle that he was not confident in. However, the moment he saw his sister, his mind was in a frenzy. At this moment, even if the Emperor of Heaven was here, he would not be able to stop him. Get lost! Qin Fin roared and used his palm as a saber. His true essence instantly condensed into a long saber, as if it was about to become a substantial saber. It exploded violently on the quintessential essence handprint. The deafening sound was earth-shattering. It was as if the sky above Tiantong City was going to explode. Qin Fin knew that Mu Jin was powerful, so he did not hold back when he attacked. Under his fierce quintessential essence handprint, Mu Jin's handprint gradually cracked and finally dissipated in the sky. It was just a simple strike, but it stunned the crowd in the square. Everyone had been waiting to see Qin Fin's attack. His attack was indeed extraordinary. He actually broke the attack of Elder Mu Jin, who was at the peak of the Nihility God realm. What kind of monster was this kid? No wonder Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun died in his hands. Gu Yu and Gu He were so scared that they withdrew from the competition. Although this person's cultivation is at the peak of the True Spirit realm, his strength is comparable to a peak of the Nihility God realm. How can there be such a heaven-defying cultivator? It's common for cultivators to kill people at a higher cultivation level than them, but I've never heard of someone like him, who killed people at a higher cultivation level than them. I'm a little suspicious of his age. Is this person really a cultivator below the age of 50? Qin Fin's saber caused the crowd in the square to boil. However, he did not care about the discussion. At this moment, his eyes were spewing fire. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to bring Qin Duo away from this place as soon as possible. When the quintessential essence handprint was broken by Qin Fin's saber, Mu Jin revealed a look of disbelief. He finally knew how the disciple from the celestial gourd had died in Qinfan's hands. This kid was actually so powerful. However, Mu Jin quickly calmed down. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He had only used 70% of his strength in that attack, but he could tell that Qinfan had used all his strength in that attack. Even Mu Jin was amazed by Qinfan's martial talent. He could see that Qinfan had not hidden his strength, and he was only around 30 years old. To be able to kill a late-stage Nihility God Realm cultivator at such a young age, there was probably no one else in the entire South Plains state who could do this. What a pity! Such a genius is about to fall. All of this was caused by your arrogance. You don't have to feel any resentment after you die. Mu Jin's voice was light, but it was filled with killing intent towards Qinfan. Just as he finished speaking, he casually raised his palm, and another huge quintessential essence handprint rose into the sky. This time, the handprint was even more ferocious. In everyone's eyes, it had already become a real palm. The patterns on the palm were clearly visible, and even the fingernails could be seen. This was the enlarged form of Mu Jin's right hand. Rumble! Before Mu Jin's palm strike was completed, the rising quintessential essence handprint had already exploded. The palm was extremely fast, and it swept up a surging quintessential essence aura. Before Qinfan could dodge, the explosion had already engulfed him. Without any time to think, Qinfan immediately circulated his quintessential essence to protect his body. At the same time, a huge green cauldron floated above his head. The green dragon cauldron spun rapidly, and countless green cauldron shadows clashed with the quintessential essence, producing a loud collision sound. The crowd outside stared at the sky. When the cultivators who came out of the Maze Valley Mystic Realm saw the green dragon cauldron, they were incomparably shocked. Back in the Mystic Realm, when Qinfan killed Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun, he didn't even take out a defensive Dharma artifact. It was clear that those two geniuses of the South Plain state were not worth mentioning in Qinfan's eyes. However, facing Mu Jin's powerful might, Qinfan didn't last long. The green dragon cauldron above his head let out a loud sound, and actually exploded from the violent quintessential essence. Following that, Qinfan's body also let out a chaotic sound, and he was sent flying by the quintessential essence. When he landed, there was another loud sound, and the ground beneath him exploded into a deep crater. White fog rose from the crater, which was the effect of Mu Jin's quintessential essence aura. Mu Jin didn't give Qinfan any chance to catch his breath, or rather, he didn't take Qinfan seriously from the beginning. He was worried that the elders of Tiantong's city would jump out to stop him. At that time, he wouldn't be able to resist them with his meager cultivation. He also believed that as long as he killed Qinfan in advance, even if the elders of Tiantong's city stood out to criticize him, they would only be reprimanded verbally. Why would they fall out with the immortal gourd over a dead person? When these thoughts rose in his mind, Mu Jin's killing intent became even more resolute. Just as his figure reached the huge crater where Qinfan had fallen, another quintessential essence palm slammed down. The crowd gasped. Anyone could feel that the power of this palm was even more ferocious than the previous two. It seemed that Grand Elder Mu Jin was truly using his full strength at this moment. The huge square quietened down. Everyone stared unblinkingly at the rapidly descending quintessential essence palm print. The palm print was like a meteorite falling from the sky, foretelling that Qinfan's life was about to end. No! Let go of my brother! I won't go with my brother! Qin Duo's face was covered in tears. However, no matter how much she screamed, the loud explosion in the air had already covered her voice. Mu Jin couldn't even hear her. Just as the quintessential essence palm was about to hit the ground and everyone was sure that Qinfan would die, a black ray shot out from the deep crater. The black ray looked a little like a saber ray, but it was different from an ordinary saber ray. The area that was enveloped by the black ray seemed to be swallowed up. Everyone's vision was blocked, and even their divine senses were unable to sweep in. The black ray filled the air at an extremely fast speed. Not only could it swallow up light, but it also seemed to be able to freeze things. The quintessential essence palm that should have destroyed the ground long ago didn't move. In the end, it stopped above the deep crater and gradually dispersed. What is this? Many cultivators were confused. However, they saw the grand elders of the seven-star sects panicking at the same time. Their eyes were filled with shock. Is that the boundary? That kid has really comprehended the boundary, and even reached the initial success stage. He can use the boundary at will. How is this possible? This is absolutely impossible. Even I can't use the boundary. Gu Xiaoyao's Lindao elder couldn't accept it. No wonder Lin Rui and Xia Yingjun died in his hands, and Gu Yu's disciple didn't even dare to accept the challenge. This guy is a little too abnormal, Gu Yong muttered to himself. His resentment towards Gu Yu's withdrawal from the competition instantly dissipated. The boundary formed by Qin Fen wasn't wide. It only covered the area where he and Mu Jin were fighting. The onlookers weren't affected by the boundary. Although they couldn't see what was happening in the boundary, they were still stunned by Qin Fen's strength. The most shocked one was Mu Jin, who was in the boundary. When he felt the surrounding black rays shrouding him, he realized that this was the process of the boundary forming. He wanted to escape immediately, but he found that his opponent had already reached the initial success stage of the boundary. In a breath's time, the boundary had covered a large area of the void. I definitely won't let a monstrous genius like you live! After a moment of shock, a murderous look appeared in his eyes. He wanted to counterattack in Qin Fen's boundary. Obviously, he had a backup plan. Chapter 1955. Qin Fen was shocked. From Mu Jin's reaction, he could guess that this old man was not simple. But his own realm had already formed, so what else could the other party do? Just as these thoughts appeared in his mind, a wild aura surged out of Mu Jin's body. Qin Fen was instantly shocked. This was not qi, but the strange aura of a realm. Qin Fen finally knew what Mu Jin's trump card was. This peak nihility god realm old man had also formed his own realm. It could be seen that his cultivation talent was very good. However, Qin Fen quickly calmed down. He found that the other party's realm was only at the initial stage and hadn't even reached the small success stage. When the two realms overlapped, a beautiful scene appeared in the sky. In the eyes of the crowd, there were two black formations. The area where the two formations overlapped gave off a dazzling black light. It gave people a stronger feeling than other places. When his own formation was formed, the restraints on Mu Jin's body quickly disappeared. He couldn't help but reveal a strong smile. To him, Qin Fen's trump card was his realm. Now that he could dissolve the other party's trump card, Qin Fen was dead for sure. But the smile on his face suddenly froze. Before he could even attack, he felt a stabbing pain in his divine sense. He found that his divine sense had been attacked? Mu Jin could no longer maintain his calm appearance. Qin Fen was only at the peak of the true spirit realm, which was shocking enough. Mu Jin found that this fellow could also use divine sense attacks? What kind of monster was this? Mu Jin immediately sealed his divine sense to avoid the attack, but in this moment of distraction, Qin Fen's realm surged over and swallowed Mu Jin's realm. This time, Qin Fen did not hesitate at all. He immediately used his qi to slash down with his saber. A violent explosion spread through the realm and echoed in the sky above the square. Rumble! Although they couldn't see what was happening in the realm, they could hear the violent sound. Everyone guessed that a hole had been cut in the sky. After the explosion lasted for a while, the black light started to dissipate. Qin Fen stood on his flying sword in the sky, but he could no longer find Mu Jin. That fellow killed Elder Mu Jin? A peak true spirit realm cultivator killing a peak nihility god realm cultivator? Where did this monstrous cultivator come from? Look over there, Elder Mu Jin isn't dead. Following a cry of surprise from the crowd, tens of thousands of pairs of eyes fell on a piece of flat ground 1,000 meters away. That place was originally flat, but now there was a huge crater. Mu Jin was lying in the crater, seemingly unable to stand up. Under that saber strike, Qin Fen had erupted with all his strength. A ferocious quintessential essence aura completely exploded on Mu Jin's body. Mu Jin was trapped in this realm and couldn't even summon quintessential essence. This was equivalent to being heavily injured without any defense. His body was riddled with holes, and his 9 clones floated above the huge crater, staring into the distance with ferocious expressions. How dare you, Ant? I, Mu Jin, will remember what happened today. One day, I will destroy your soul and make you unable to reincarnate. The auras of the 9 clones were extremely weak, and it seemed like they were heavily injured as well. Mu Jin was planning to escape. He didn't even want his real body anymore. This action caused a commotion in the crowd. If he wasn't afraid of Qin Feng, how could he leave his real body behind? Rumor has it that Elder Mu Jin is about to break through to body condensation state. Now that he has left his main body, it will delay his breakthrough. Even great Elder Mu Jin was defeated. May I ask, in the vast South Flat State, who else at the Void God realm can be that guy's match? Trying to escape? Not so easy! Just when everyone thought that this battle would end with Mu Jin's defeat and escape, they heard Qin Fen's furious roar in the sky. He didn't chase after the 9 clones. He just casually sent out a few palm strikes, and 9 balls of blue light shot out. Because they were too fast, no one could see what they were. Mu Jin's 9 clones immediately sped up, and all of them revealed fearful expressions, as though they were very wary of the blue light that was chasing after them. However, the clones were all severely injured and were eventually hit by the blue light. When the light collided with the clones, everyone finally saw the blue light that had stopped temporarily. It was a blue flame in the shape of a sunflower. However, it wasn't a complete sunflower, and it was only in the shape of a petal. If these 9 blue flames were gathered together, they would form a blooming blue sunflower. The sky seemed to be lit up by the 9 blue sunflowers, dyeing it a deep blue. The 9 clones couldn't resist the flames at all and were instantly burned to ashes. Heavenly Fire Spirit Sunflower? That's the Heavenly Fire Spirit Sunflower ranked 20th on the Divine Supreme Continent. The crowd was in an uproar. It was even more shocking than Qin Fen's realm. As everyone knew, the Divine Supreme Continent had a total of 86 types of heaven and earth flames. Among them, 58 were earth flames, and 28 were heaven flames. These heaven and earth flames all existed in extremely hidden wilderness or secret territories. Most cultivators wouldn't even see one heaven and earth flame in their lifetime, let alone collect such a powerful heaven and earth flame. How could Qin Fen not be surprised when he casually took out the heaven flame ranked 20th? Due to the appearance of the Heavenly Fire Spirit Sunflower, everyone ignored the burned Mu Jin. The 9 spirit sunflowers were still burning in the sky, seemingly undying. Young Hero Qiao's Heavenly Fire Spirit Sunflower is not in its initial state. It's a spirit sunflower that has evolved once. Rumor has it that after 9 evolutions, a spirit sunflower can form 9 petals. Once the spirit sunflower appears, the entire sky will change color. A few knowledgeable seniors in the crowd explained. Qin Fen's spirit sunflower fire seed had just evolved not long ago at the bottom of the 1000 Lotus Pond in the depths of the 1000 Insect Valley. He used 3 level 7 fire spirit lotuses to feed the heaven flame and completed the spirit sunflower's first evolution. When Qin Fen put away the spirit sunflower with his mind, the crowd gradually came to their senses. Many people realized that great Elder Mu Jin, who was in the Celestial Gourd sect, had died. His body and 9 avatars were all burned to ashes. There were at least 100,000 cultivators gathered in the huge Tiantong City Square, but at this moment, the square fell into silence and a strange atmosphere floated in the air. The disciples of the Celestial Gourd sect couldn't accept the reality in front of them. For a long time, no one dared to stand up and accuse Qin Fen. Qin Duo'er didn't expect her brother to kill Elder Mu Jin. Before this, Mu Jin's cultivation was simply invincible in Qin Duo'er's eyes. How dare you, Ant? How dare you kill junior brother Mu Jin? I think you're tired of living. A roar broke the silence. A black shadow appeared in the void. Before the shadow arrived, a sword light flew over. Before Qinfen could react, the sword light was already in front of him. A sense of helplessness rose in Qinfen's heart. He rarely felt this kind of feeling. Even when he fought with Mu Jun before, Qinfen only felt a strong killing intent. But this time, the person who rushed over made him feel like he couldn't resist. It could be seen that the other party's cultivation was far higher than Mu Jun's. He was definitely a supreme being who had stepped into the body condensation realm. No matter how strong Qinfen was, he was only at the peak of true spirit. He felt that he had reached his limit when he killed Mu Jun. Now that he had jumped out of the body condensation realm, Qinfen even thought of hiding in the astral world. Chapter 1956. Rumble. A loud sound exploded above Qinfen's head. Before he could enter the astral space, a huge Jinyuan handprint appeared in the sky. Qinfen knew that Elder Tianming from Tiantong City had arrived, because the aura of this true origin palm print was extremely familiar. Earlier, when Du Xiaoyao's Grand Elder wanted to kill him, this true origin aura had appeared. The ferocious sword radiance engulfed the Jinyuan handprint. Qinfen had no idea how powerful the Jinyuan handprint was. As for Elder Tianming, who was floating in the sky, his cultivation level was unfathomable. Qinfen couldn't see through him at all. Another figure appeared too. He was wearing a black robe and had a face full of anger. He was floating in the sky and staring at Qinfen. Qinfen knew the person's identity when he saw his appearance. When he entered the Thousand Insect Valley to explore, he fell into the Celestial Gourd sect from the bottom of the Thousand Lotus Lake. He was immediately guarded by two great elders of the Celestial Gourd sect. One of them was Mu Jun, and the other was the old man in black robe floating in the sky. The old man's cultivation level was higher than Mu Jun's. He was at least in the body condensation realm. His body was surrounded by a layer of mist, but it wasn't as blurry as the clones of Void God State cultivators. The mist seemed to have solidified and formed a second body. Qinfen now knew that after breaking through to the body condensation realm, the 9 clones would fuse and form a new body. This body was called the Primordial Spirit. Moreover, the stronger the 9 clones of the Void God State, the stronger the Primordial Spirit when breaking through to the body condensation realm. Qinfen hadn't even stepped into the Void God State yet. The body condensation realm was still a distance away for him. However, he could already feel the difference between the body condensation realm and the Void God State. He believed that even the top Void God State cultivators in the South Flat Continent would find it hard to kill them, even if they were in the early stage body condensation realm. "Thank you for saving me, Elder Tianming." Qinfen couldn't understand why Tianming saved him twice. If it was the first time, he could understand that it was because killing was forbidden in Tiantong City. However, he didn't see Tianming stopping him when he killed the Celestial Gourd sect's great elder Mu Jun on the square not long ago. He even had a thought that Heaven's Mandate was intentionally standing on his side to help him. When he saw that he could kill his opponent, Heaven's Mandate turned a blind eye. But when he saw that he was weaker than his opponent, Heaven's Mandate stood out to stop him. But why was that? Since he couldn't figure it out, Qinfen didn't want to think about it anymore. He immediately cupped his fists towards the sky to express his gratitude. Tianming nodded and said calmly, "Fighting is prohibited in Sky Pass City. You don't have to thank me. I'm just enforcing the law." When Mu Feng heard Tianming's words, he almost cursed out loud. Although he had just arrived, he had used his divine sense to scan the scene of Qinfen killing Mu Jun when he was still dozens of miles away. Why hadn't Tianming stepped forward to stop him? "Elder Tianming, what is the meaning of this?" Mu Feng's body surged with a fierce true essence aura, causing the air around him to become chaotic. "I've already said that fighting is forbidden in Sky Pass City. I'll stop anyone who does it and punish them severely." Tianming's expression didn't change. "Bullshit! Why didn't you say this when my junior brother Mu Jun was killed?" Mu Feng roared. The two powerhouses faced each other in the sky, causing the cultivators in the square to tremble in fear. Once these two powerhouses started a fierce battle, they would be the unlucky ones, Violent true essence swept from Tian Ming's body. The true essence aura instantly formed a small hurricane whirlpool. The whirlpool floated above Tian Ming's head, as if it was under his control. Mu Feng's eyes twitched. Others couldn't see through Tian Ming's cultivation, but he could roughly guess it. To be able to instantly condense true essence into a whirlpool and control it freely, he had clearly stepped into the cauldron-filling realm. One of the 4 great elders of Sky Pass City was actually at the cauldron-filling realm? This fact was hard for Mu Feng to accept. In his 6-star sect, the Immortal Gourd sect, only Island Master Mu Chen had stepped into the cauldron-filling realm. Not to mention 6-star sects, even in the 4 7-star sects of the South Flat Continent, it was rare to find a powerhouse at the cauldron-filling realm. It could be seen that Sky Pass City was extremely powerful. No wonder they didn't even put the 7-star sects in their eyes. I'll repeat myself. Sky Pass City prohibits any killing. Since this is your first offense, I'll temporarily give you a verbal warning. If you dare to be ruthless again, don't blame me for being impolite. Tian Ming didn't give Mu Feng any face. This famous great elder of a 6-star sect in the South Flat Continent didn't seem to be worth mentioning in Tian Ming's eyes. At this moment, the cultivators in the square deeply understood the power of Sky Pass City. In the past, they had only heard rumors, but now they had seen it with their own eyes. Facing over 100,000 cultivators, if Mu Feng retreated now, he wouldn't only be losing his own face, but also the entire Immortal Gourd sect's face. However, he didn't dare to attack Tian Ming. That would be courting death. Elders of the 4 7-star sects, I heard that a disciple of your sect was also killed by that ant. Are you going to swallow your anger? After hesitating for a while, Mu Feng started to ask for help. He was originally in seclusion in the sect, but he received an urgent flying sword message from a disciple. The flying sword briefly described what happened at the Genius Conference, so Mu Feng knew that Qin Fan killed a genius disciple of a 7-star sect. He originally rushed over to see what kind of monster appeared in the South Flat Continent to be able to kill a disciple of a 7-star sect. In the end, he just arrived and saw the scene of Qin Fan killing Mu Jin. How could the 4 great elders of the 7-star sects not be angry? They were just worried about the rule of not killing in Sky Pass City. However, Qin Fan broke the rule and killed Mu Jin, but he was still safe and sound. This gave them an excuse. Immediately, 4 light figures appeared in the sky and stood in a row with Mu Feng. These 4 people were the great elder of Gu Xiaoyao, Lin Dao, Gu Yong of the Divine Wind Valley, Xia Deng of the Time Mountain, and Du Shi of the Yunhua sect. The light mist on the 4 of them was even clearer than Mu Feng's. This meant that they had at least stepped into the body condensation realm, and they might even be cauldron-filling realm experts. After these 5 people floated in the sky, over a dozen light figures immediately shot into the sky. These figures all represented the great elders of large sections. Usually, any one of these elders could cause a stir in half of the South Flat Continent. Now, they were densely lined up in the sky, confronting Tian Ming. Floating on water, Jiang Family Elder, 6-star Array Sect Myriad Array Sect Elder, Star Sect Refiner, Tai Sect Taoist Zhang. When these experts stood in a row, fierce true essence surged out of their bodies and condensed. The airflow in the sky underwent a huge change, as if it was about to collapse. The aura emitted by these 10 people even suppressed the aura of over 100,000 cultivators on the plaza. This many experts confronting each other had never appeared in the South Flat Continent in the past 100 years. However, all of this happened because of one person, Xiao Feng. Chapter 1957. As more and more powerful beings gathered around him, Mu Feng became more confident. With a cold expression, he glared at Tian Ming and shouted, "Xiao Feng killed my junior brother Mu Jin. I want him to pay with his life." As soon as he finished speaking, Great Elder Gu Xiaoyao, Lin Dao's voice resounded. "Xiao Feng killed my sex genius disciple, Lin Rui. He must die today. Xiao Feng killed my beloved disciple, Xia Yingjun. Even 10 lives won't be enough for him." When the voices of the powerful beings resounded, the cultivators on the square couldn't help but think, Qiao Feng must die! All the disciples cheered for Qin Feng's death. However, there were a few cultivators from other sects who revealed grave expressions, such as Zhao Ziyu and the others from the Hundred Thoughts sect, Shi Yu from the Stone Blade sect. However, the one who was most worried was Qin Duoer. She was so anxious that she didn't know what to do and felt extremely regretful. Now, she understood Elder Mu Jin's intention. He wanted to use her relationship with Qin Feng to kill Qin Feng. In the end, Mu Jin was killed by Qin Feng instead. Now that the situation had developed like this, Qin Duoer was filled with regret. If she could do it all over again, she would rather continue to live alone in this strange continent than call out her brother's name. However, it was too late. When more than 10 powerful beings floated into the sky and planned to kill Qin Feng, even Qin Duoer felt that her brother would definitely die this time. Soon, she wiped away her tears and her expression became firm. If her brother was really killed, then she didn't plan to live anymore. Compared to living in this cruel and strange continent, perhaps death was another kind of release for Qin Duoer. You want to rebel in Tiantong City? Tianming's expression was cold. However, when the great elders of the various sects gathered, they were no longer afraid of Tianming's threat. It's not us who are rebelling. It's you who violated the rules of Tiantong City. Oh, I finally understand. That brat can't be someone from your Tiantong City, right? No wonder you turned a blind eye to him killing innocent people here. Lin Dao coldly snorted. You don't need to sow discord here. Qiao Feng has nothing to do with my Tiantong City. Don't think that you can behave atrociously in Tiantong City just because you have more people. Even if the city lord is not here now, I, the 4 great elders, will not do nothing. As soon as Tianming's voice fell, 3 violent auras surged in the air above the square. Unknowingly, 3 figures had appeared around Tianming. Each of their auras was no weaker than Tianming's. The crowd in the square was in an uproar as they stared at Long Sky's forces with their mouths agape. Both sides were overseen by almighty beings, and the lowest cultivation was at the body condensation realm. If this battle really started, the entire Tiantong City would probably be razed to the ground. They knew that danger was lurking everywhere, but no one left. It was rare to see a battle between venerables of this level. The cultivators in the square would rather risk their lives just to see the glory of these venerables. Where did this ant come from, daring to cause trouble in my Tiantong City? If you don't disperse, don't blame us for killing you. The Tiantong City elders who rushed over were ferocious as if they couldn't see the row of masters in the sky. When they glanced at the 3 new Tiantong City elders, Lin Dao and the rest's mouths twitched. These 3 were at the same level as Tianming. They were all cauldron-filling state almighty beings. And these 4 Tiantong City elders were already cauldron-filling state. It was hard to imagine what realm the city lord was at. At this moment, the sect elders were silent. They wanted to retreat. Although they had 17 or 18 people and had a huge advantage in numbers, there were only 2 cauldron-filling state cultivators among them. They were the Grand Elder of Wind God Valley, Guyong, and Yun Yugu Shi. Both of them had just stepped into the cauldron-filling state not long ago. The rest were all body condensation state, but only Lin Dao and Xia Deng had stepped into the peak of body condensation realm 9. Most of the elders were just at the beginning stage of body condensation realm. This kind of lineup wasn't a match for the 4 Tiantong City elders at all. The difference in cultivation levels couldn't be made up with numbers. Even if Lin Dao had a few more body condensation state cultivators, they wouldn't be able to beat them. Seniors, are you sure you want to protect that ant and become enemies with all the sects in the South Flat State? Time Mountain Xia Deng spoke after a moment of stalemate. Tianming's expression was indifferent, and didn't seem threatened at all. First, our Tiantong City never causes trouble. It's you who are breaking the rules here. Secondly, you're just a dozen 6- and 7-star sections. How can you represent all the sects in the South Flat State? Heh! What a bunch of arrogant people. Don't keep saying 7-star sections. It's fine to scare others, but you want to behave atrociously in Tiantong City? Ask the broadsword in my hand first. A Tian Tong City elder took out his weapon. It was a high-grade cultivation artifact broadsword. The other two also had disdainful looks in their eyes. They weren't faking it. It was as if the so-called seven-star sects weren't worth mentioning in their eyes. Under the double pressure of this cultivation level and aura, Lin Dao and the rest couldn't take it anymore. They didn't know where the people of Tian Tong City got their confidence from. Was it because these four elders were cauldron-filling state cultivators? It should be known that seven-star sects didn't lack cauldron-filling state grand elders. As for the supreme elders, they were all cauldron-filling state cultivators. Some of the vice sect masters and sect masters had even stepped into disaster transformation state. Wasn't Tian Tong City afraid of the sects joining forces to destroy them? Good. Very good. Our Gu Xiaoyao will remember what happened today. Lin Dao sneered and instantly disappeared into the sky. His departure gave the elders of the other sects a way out. The powerful cultivators that filled the sky disappeared one after another. In the end, there wasn't even a trace of aura left in the sky. It was as if nothing had happened. The four seven-star sects left. The six-star sects also retreated from Tian Tong City. More than 100,000 cultivators on the square let out a long sigh of relief when they found out that the great battle didn't happen. However, they were also a little disappointed. Qin Duo Air was also taken away by the disciples of the Celestial Gourd sect. Qin Fen didn't stop them. He knew that he couldn't stop them at all. Mu Feng had already stepped into the body condensation realm, and could kill him at any time. Qin Fen didn't plan to ask the four elders of Tian Tong City for help. Although the four of them did try their best to save his life, he didn't believe that they were really chivalrous. Ever since he stepped into the Divine Continent, Qin Fen understood the rules of survival in this continent. Everything depended on one's fist. Although he still couldn't figure out why the four elders saved him, Qin Fen guessed that there must be a purpose. He even suspected that Elder Tian Ming really had a system. Moreover, he also discovered that Qin Fen also had a system. That was why he protected Qin Fen's life. Could it be that he wanted to devour Qin Fen's system? Thinking of this, Qin Fen broke out in a cold sweat. He had long realized that the level of Elder Tian Ming's system was higher than his. If Elder Tian Ming really wanted to devour his system, Qin Fen was afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist. Chapter 1958. Thank you, seniors, for saving me. I will definitely repay you in the future. I still have important matters to attend to, so I will take my leave first. Qin Feng didn't want to stay in Tian Tong City any longer. Compared to the four cauldron-filling state experts in front of him, he would rather fall into the hands of the elders of the big sections. Even if he couldn't defeat those elders, he could at least hide in the astral world. However, Elder Tian Ming in front of him most likely had a system. He was afraid that even if he hid in the astral world, he would still be caught by the other party. Young hero Qiao, don't be in a hurry to leave. According to the usual practice of the number one genius, you have to stay in my Tian Tong City as a guest. Tian Ming's voice sounded. Qin Feng had already left on his flying sword. He had long expected that Tian Ming would ask him to stay, and was even prepared to forcefully escape from Tian Tong City. He planned to directly take out the soaring cloud all. At this time, there was no need to hide his trump card. However, before flying a few hundred meters, Qin Feng suddenly stopped in the sky. The system's warning kept ringing in his mind. Ding, system warning, a new system has appeared nearby. Ding, system warning, a new system has appeared nearby. The warning appeared 3 times in a row, which meant that 3 new systems had appeared nearby. Including Tian Ming's system, there were 4 system owners. At this time, in Tian Tong City, the other sects and rogue cultivators had basically all left. Only Qin Feng and the 4 great elders of Tian Tong City were left, floating in the middle of the square. Those 4 elders are all system users? When this thought appeared in his mind, Qin Feng's heart was in turmoil. Because of this, he dispelled the idea of forcefully escaping. The 4 of them had higher levels of systems than him. It was somewhat impossible to escape from them. Seeing Qin Feng suddenly stop in the sky, the four elders of Tiantong City looked at each other and nodded, as if they had seen through something. Young hero Qiao, don't worry. If we really wanted to attack you, how would you have the chance to escape? Tianming's voice was calm. Qin Feng sighed in his heart. This feeling of life and death being in the hands of others was not good, but he knew that Tianming was speaking the truth. Not to mention whether the other party had a system or not, just the cultivation of the four cauldron filling state was not something that Qin Feng could resist. Then I will respectfully accept. Qin Feng flew back. The four of them did not make a move on him and brought him to the depths of Tiantong City. Qin Feng quickly realized that the inn he stayed in before and the plaza where the martial arts competition was held were only in the outer area of Tiantong City. Even the so-called central area of the city that cost 1,000,000 spirit stones to rest the night a few days ago was not the real center of Tiantong City. Those were all open areas. Tianming and the other three brought Qin Feng to the real sky connecting city. When they entered, they needed to pass through a secret formation and a level 7 teleportation formation. Qin Feng didn't know who had set up this level 7 king formation, but he could sense that this formation hadn't been set up for a long time. It was clearly not a formation left behind by an ancient almighty. It was said that the number 1 array formation master in the South Flat Continent could only set up a level 6 Grandmaster array. It seemed like this was not true. After passing through the teleportation array, Qin Fen immediately felt that the surrounding spirit chi had increased by several levels. The density of the spirit chi was not inferior to that of his astral world. This was obviously no longer within the boundaries of Tiantong City, or rather, this was the real Tiantong City. No! This is the Maze Valley Mystic Realm! Not long after entering, Qin Feng's expression changed. He had already recognized this space. It was very similar to the Mystic Realm he had entered to participate in the Genius Assembly. He knew that this wasn't the Mystic Realm he had participated in, but it was connected to that region. It was just that the location was different. The feeling of being monitored rose again. Qin Feng was even more certain that this was the Maze Valley Mystic Realm. As such, he had many doubts in his heart. Wasn't the first segment of the Genius Assembly, the Maze Valley Mystic Realm, a testing ground that had been passed down for thousands of years? How did it become the private territory of Tiantong City? This feeling of being monitored wasn't only felt by Qin Feng. All the participating cultivators had the same feeling. Then wouldn't the people of Tiantong City be spying on the martial skills and techniques that they had revealed during their fights? What were they trying to do? Before Qin Feng could figure it out, the four elders of Tiantong City had already landed on the tallest mountain peak. They didn't explain where this place was, nor did they mention anything about being monitored. It was as if they didn't know anything. Young hero Qiao, there is a teleportation array here. It can teleport you to a place 1,000 miles away from Tiantong City. The reason why we left you here is so that you can leave safely, Tianming said. During the Genius Assembly, Qin Feng had offended almost all the sects and forces in the South Flat Continent. He had even killed many genius disciples from 7-star sects, and even elders. Now all the sects in the South Flat Continent were definitely working together to hunt him down. Not long ago, he was still worrying about how to leave safely. He didn't think that the elders of Tiantong City had already thought of a way out for him. However, the more kind the four elders were, the more Qin Feng feared them. There was no free lunch in this world. This was true on Earth, and it was even more true in the Divine Supreme Continent. Senior Tianming, let's not beat around the bush. What do the four seniors want me to do? Qin Feng couldn't take it anymore. This feeling of his life and death being in someone else's hands was driving him crazy. Young hero Qiao doesn't need to do anything. Tianming had a kind smile on his face. Are you sure you're going to let me go just like this? Qin Feng couldn't figure out what the other party was thinking. Do you think I would covet anything from you? Tianming smiled. Then I'm really leaving? Qin Feng maintained his vigilance. He was sure that the 4 Tian Tong city elders in front of him were all system owners. Moreover, they were all in the cauldron-filling realm. In front of them, Qin Feng felt extremely helpless. Young hero Qiao, have you heard of the Divine Supreme Continent's 1,000-year tribulation? Just as Qin Feng was about to leave through the array on the mountain peak, Tian Ming's voice came from behind. I know. Then you should also know that your breakthrough triggered a sure-kill lightning tribulation, right? I know. Qin Feng became nervous again. He didn't know what Tian Ming was trying to say. Every person who can trigger a sure-kill lightning tribulation is the Divine Supreme of the 1,000-year tribulation. Perhaps young hero Qiao doesn't know that the person who triggers the tribulation is also the person who triggers the tribulation. The tribulation was triggered by you, so you have to resolve it. You can't die! Qin Feng turned into a shadow and disappeared from the mountain peak. When he passed through the teleportation array, he seemed to understand why Tian Ming and the others let him go. Why did you let him go? As soon as Qin Feng left, one of the Tian Tong city elders looked at the sky and asked. The kind smile on Tian Ming's face disappeared and was replaced by a crazed look. Ever since we received the system from the city lord, we've been looking for other system owners. However, those system owners are all very low level. Only this system owner named Xiao Feng barely caught our eye. Senior brother Tian Ming, you want to let him develop and wait until the time is right to swallow his system? Another Grand Elder asked. But that guy has already found out that we have systems. Senior brother Tian Ming, aren't you afraid that he'll hide from us forever? The first old man added. Tian Ming looked up to the sky and laughed. Ha ha! He did sense our system, but he doesn't have any ill intentions towards us. My last words were effective. Moreover, even if he wants to hide from us, how can he? I've already memorized the aura of his system. As long as the city lord returns, he can find that kid at any time. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.